Morning, amazing law nerds. How are you? On the back end, I had some little hiccups, but it looks like we're live. So let me know if you can see me because I think we're live. It is Tuesday. It's November 4th. I can't believe it's November. Can you believe it's November? I can't believe it's November. It's wild. So good to see you, law nerds. There was just, things were being fiddly. But it's fine. We'll fix it in post. We're all here today. Look, live streaming is dynamic. We'll just figure it out. What are we talking about today? First of all, replay crew, love you. Timestamps are down below. Every now and then somebody's like, but you haven't covered this topic yet. I'm like, but it's timestamped. I will say, replay crew, on occasion, the timestamps when the streams are long have not populated on the video, but they're always in the description. And if you go to the description, you can always just click it on there and jump to it. Sometimes it takes a minute to populate where you can click it on the video itself. So the other thing is that if you do not have the Law Nerd app, you are missing out on a whole bunch of our coverage because on Monday, the Emily Show drops on the Emily Show channel. It is not the live streaming channel. It is not this channel, the Emily D. Baker channel. And we cover topics over there that interconnect with the topics here. So if there's things that just are a quick topic that we're not covering in a live or something we didn't have time to get to in a live, it will be on the podcast. And if you listened this week, you know that we covered everything going on with Commissioner Cox. If you did not listen this week, well, you've probably seen the story already, and I am going to hopefully give a brief summary because it looked like he responded. I haven't seen what his response is yet. I saved it and I was like, oh, we need to get to that. I hope we have time because Emily is also traveling. Even though Bantober is over, it is November. It's a busy month. And if you are members over in the Law Nerd Lounge and on the YouTubes, you'll see some of the behind the scenes. If you love the pop culture, you will see some of the behind the scenes in the coming weeks as we do the pop culture-y things. So what does that mean for today? Oh boy, today. Two things ran through my head when I saw news media outlets confirming that another officer has been impacted by the Karen Read fallout. And competing in my brain was someone's in trouble. For those of you who have not seen Pitch Perfect, this makes no sense for you. And the other one was literally the beginning bars of Another One Bites the Dust. And then all of the jokes about the fact that Sergeant Goode's last name is Goode, Goode. I'm like, oh, not good. Not good at all. This looks not good. And then the other part of me was like, it is rare that I would come to a stream and say, y'all, we called it. Because most of the time law is fairly predictable. It's like, oh, look, they filed a motion. Wow. Florals for spring. Groundbreaking. Right? It's like, oh, the thing we said was going to happen is happening. But in this one, it happened faster than I thought. And we are going to talk all about it. We're going to talk all about it. So the fallout continues, and not in the fun Fallout Boy kind of way. And, well, Sarah Boone is still having lawyer problems. And this one might not be her fault. So we're going to take a look at that as we get to the end of, well, we're going to talk about Canton first. We're going to Massachusetts first. We're going to fly to Massachusetts first. But I got to be honest, you guys, it's been stuck in my head. So it's going to be stuck in your head too. We're doing it together because the Karen Read fallout continues. And just, we gotta think about it. We got to get to stream. We got to do it. We're going to roll the intro. We're going to see how far we can push song lyrics that are appropriate because it's time, y'all. It's time. I mean, when people get their comeuppance, it's time. It's time to go. It's time to stream. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, law nerds. Let's go. Hey there, I'm lawyer and legal analyst Emily D. Baker, and this is your go-to destination for live court coverage. I break down the law, the strategy, and the evidence in real time, so you know what's happening. No law degree required. So join the law nerds in the chat. They're here for the facts, not and let's get to court. I mean, anytime on the podcast, somebody's like, why are you reading sponsor ads? It's because I stream responsibly. And I know at some point UMG is going to be like, girl, you're not monetizing that at all. What are you doing? So as always, thank you to our sponsors that allow me to FAFO and not care, because it's totally worth it. It's totally worth it. It is. We need to go to Canton, Massachusetts, y'all. Canton PD. I talked about this happening. We talked about all of the fallout that was going to happen. And I said, when we got into Proctor's personal phone more, I mean, we in the royal sense, when they got into Proctor's phone more, we were probably going to find more things. Because remember, for those of you that are like, what is the backstory? We don't have time for the entire backstory. It needs a PowerPoint at this point. But remember Canton Police Officer Kevin, I believe, Kevin, got in trouble for like the dude where's my gun situation, because he and Proctor went out drinking on duty and Proctor was in his department issued vehicle. And the next day, Albert's texting him like, oh my God, I have the worst hangover ever. I'm going to die. Also, do you know where my gun and badge are? Because I think I left them in your car. I don't know where they are. And we could only assume that, given the conversation about the hangover, that he was so intoxicated that he could not find his department-issued weapon that he was carrying on duty when they went to get dinner and were drinking it up. And then he couldn't find his gun. And the reason that he was disciplined for that is because it came up in Proctor's texts. So it is reasonable for us to believe that, well, the more texts we have, the more problems that there are going to be. You know, in the words of Biggie, well, nobody's going to have more money after this is all over, but more texts, more problems. More texts, more problems. Everybody who's been in Proctor's phone has got to be making phone calls to lawyers. At some point, the entire defense bar in Massachusetts is going to be like, I'm sorry, we have a conflict, because this is continuing to spiral. And for those of you that remember Sergeant Goode's testimony from the first trial, I did put him in the thumbnail just to refresh everybody's memory. But I mean, if one's memory can be refreshed, ours can. We're not testifying in a Karen Reed case. So we remember that he was the one that decided that the leaf blower was going to be the thing. And remember, Canton did an entire investigation about the procedures used. And the leaf blower was one of the things that they weren't worried about at all. The leaf blower was one of the things that they were like, well, actually, we didn't have any other way to start to process the crime scene. So like, it's innovative. Good job, buddy. Thanks for grabbing the leaf blower. So I'll make sure that we link the testimony of Sergeant Goode down below if you want to go refresh. We're not going to rewatch it today, but if you want to go rewatch the testimony from trial number 1 with the leaf blowering. But I started to see rumblings in my DMs about this happening last week. And as there were rumblings in my DMs, and as I am wont to do, I'm like, all right, I am waiting. I am keeping a close eye, and I am waiting to see what official word is on Sergeant not so good things happening. And then yesterday, there were 2 statements from Canton PD. Now, well, and the town administrator. These were difficult to find. I saw them all over social media, but they were kind of buried on the Canton government website and difficult to access. And I'm like, yes, the breaking news that all of you are just like, shh, it's over there. It's over there. So I saw many people post them, but trying to actually find where they came from is something that matters more and more to me, to try to find them directly from the website, because, well, social media isn't real half the time. And I look at a video and I'm like, that seems unlikely. And then I'm looking closer and I'm like, oh, because it's AI. So I don't know what's been altered, what's not been altered, and what have you. So I always try to find the original source and tell you when I can or when I can't find the original source. So I found this on the Canton website. It took quite a bit of digging through various parts of the Canton website. So let's get to the press release first, because pages and pages and pages and pages and pages and pages later, don't worry, we'll link them if you want to go see them yourself, because it took a minute. It took a minute. So let's go see. We're all curious. We want to know. Inquiring minds. Inquiring minds. This is from the Town of Canton for immediate release, Monday, November 3rd, yesterday, from the media contact, a statement from the Town of Canton. The following is a statement. Oh, it jumped. The following is a statement from the Town of Canton. I was trying to give my town crier voice. The following is a statement from the Town of Canton. Quote, on Friday, October 24th, the Town of Canton was notified of allegations of misconduct concerning a member of the town's police department. Although the town is unable to share confidential personnel information due to the laws governing employee privacy, there are some facts that the town can share in an effort to ensure transparency and keep members of the town's community informed of ongoing matters. The town knew before y'all put out the statement. It's a small town. Everybody knew. Everybody knew everybody's business before you made this press release. You made the press release because I imagine they got inundated with a spat of public records requests of people wanting to know if it was true or not because they had heard rumblings, because nothing is going to work faster than small town gossip. And people clocked this well before it hit the media. So October 24th, just asterisk that date. We're going to come back to talk about why that date matters after we get through these two press statements from Canton. Asterisks on October 24th. Immediately after becoming aware of the allegations, the town engaged an independent investigator to conduct a thorough administrative investigation into the allegations of misconduct. My question is, why isn't this going through the town's police process? They absolutely went immediately to independent investigator. I think it's because they knew, right? If they had like Canton Internal Affairs investigating it, what do you think Canton would do? Canton would be like, what? I wonder if it's going to be the same independent investigator that did the audit of the police department with the leaf blower situation. They got an independent investigator to conduct a thorough administrative investigation. The member of the town's police department under administrative investigation was placed on paid administrative leave on Friday, October 24th. Pending the outcome of the administrative investigation, due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, the town is unable to provide additional details at this time. The town and the town's police department take all allegations of misconduct seriously. Members of the town's police department are expected to perform their duties in a professional manner. The town is committed to providing the quality and level of service that the citizens of Canton deserve from their police department. To that end, we will take the necessary steps to ensure that actions by individual officers do not jeopardize that quality and level of service. There's a second release, because in that release, you're going to ask me, but how do we know who it is? Well, other than the rumors, the innuendo, the speculation, other than the rumors, we know, let's see. Oh, that didn't save. Other than the rumors, we have a second press statement. And I'm trying to give Miguelina the link for this, but it won't post. So I'll post it. Miguelina, I'll post it in our prep document, the link to these two press statements. So, rumors. Also from Monday, November 3rd for immediate release from a different media contact because this is a statement from the Town of Canton and Interim Canton Police Chief Joseph Perkins. The following is a statement. Quote, on Friday, October 24th, the Town of Canton was notified of allegations of misconduct concerning a member of the town's police department, which was discovered during an investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. Let's just highlight that sentence for a minute. Which was discovered during an investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. Whoever could it be? Who could it be now? Literally, who could that be? Who is the former member of another law enforcement agency? Oh no, it's Proctor. There's the Proctor. Oh no. Oh no. It's interesting how they say it without saying it, right? This is the well, you all are wondering, but on a note of that timing, this happened October 24th. The police union voted to withdraw their support of Trooper Proctor on October 23rd. He withdrew his appeal on October 24th. I mean,
that's suspicious. That's weird.
What are we going to do? Oh no. So weird.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Everyone in Canton right now. Correction. Everyone in Canton PD right now. The second that we heard that these text messages were going back to 2013, we all talked about, oh, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. They are going to find more in these text messages that are going to lead to other investigations. I just didn't think it would happen so fast, honestly. I really didn't. I didn't think it would happen this fast. Which leads me to wonder, how not good is it? Because that is swift. That is a within the same day. So what was found? I hear my door opening. Hey, buddy. How do you feel? It feels weird. Travis got his braces off this morning. Travis and Dr. B were just at the orthodontist. So he is heading out to school in just a minute. Feels good? Mm-hmm. You want to say hi to Lonards?
Yeah.
We're talking about more police officers in Canton getting suspended from their jobs due to something that was found in a phone. We just don't know what was in the phone yet.
Is this the someone got hit by a car, but they were dog teeth marks and it's really weird?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
That one.
That one. Cool.
All right, darling.
Is that one still going on? That one's been on forever. Legal stuff takes time.
It's not that the underlying case is still going on. It's that there's a lot of fallout. Not the fun kind. Yeah. Well, enjoy your braces-free day.
Thank you.
I know. I'm sure it feels weird.
Yeah.
All right. Have fun at guard. Have a good day at school. Bye, buddy. Bye. I know you got stuff to do. He's just like, so. Kiddo and Dr. B were very, very excited. I love how T is up on the T of all of this. He keeps asking about what's going on because he's just like, what in the world is happening? And I'm like, this. And I also, look, what you put in text messages coming back to bite you is a lesson we can all talk to everyone we know about, right? It's a, look, nothing is private. Just let's discuss nothing is private. And then the other day, T came home from school and he was just like, can we have a conversation about the Patriot Act? I was just like, how much of a conversation would you like to have, sir? So we've been having those conversations about privacy. What is privacy? What isn't privacy? What's accessible? What's not accessible? What happened to BlackBerry phones? all the rest of it. So it's been really fun. He's a fun kid. He very much enjoys having a conversation, but all these cases are teaching moments because there's things you think you don't need to say. And then, well, obviously, there are things that need to be said. Like, do your job with integrity. I mean, these are basics. Creekside Casual said, tease orthodontist, no pressure there. I mean, I go to a number of the appointments. So Dr. B is, we try to make sure that we're balancing the dental parent and the non-dental parent. All right. Everybody would have been, I think all of Canton PD would have been happier if they had Blackberries. It would have been really difficult for them to get any of the information back out of them, wouldn't it? You wouldn't have these kind of downloads from a Blackberry, would you? But Mango Jelly in the chat said, EDB, there was so much integrity you couldn't even see it. I mean, just because they said it over and over and over again on the stand doesn't make it true, right? This investigation was carried out with integrity. This investigation was carried out with honor and integrity. This investigation. Okay, boo-boo. You keep saying that. So, continuing on. On Friday, October 24th, the town of Canton was notified of allegations of misconduct concerning a member of the town's police department. Excuse me. Who informed them? Oh my God, was it the DA's office? Wouldn't that be interesting? It might have been the DA's office because the DA's office is going through Proctor's personal phone. It could have been spam, the state police union. I forgot what the A and the M stand for, but the state police blah, 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 blah. Association of Massachusetts, something like that. It could have been the union because it's the day after they withdrew support. It could have been the DA's office because when the DA's office is going through this, if they're seeing what's on these group texts, they're going to have to tell other law enforcement agencies. And it would be a good thing for the DA's office to have somebody in the DA's office that is like, bring it to me. I got them all. I will clear house. You got to have somebody in the DA's office that is willing to take everybody to the mat and just be like, give me the phone. Give me the phone. We're going. Let's go. So Canton was told that there were allegations of misconduct concerning a member of the town's police department, which was discovered during the investigation into a former member of a different law enforcement agency. I mean, Proctor. They're not going to say it, but obviously Proctor. Between the timing and the way they worded this, Proctor. Immediately after becoming aware of the allegations, the town engaged an independent investigator to conduct a thorough administrative investigation into the allegations of misconduct. Sergeant Sean Goode was immediately placed on paid administrative leave, pending the outcome of that internal affairs investigation. Outside investigator, IA investigation, paid administrative leave is typical when there's an investigation pending. But that can also become a termination. The town of Canton and the Canton Police Department take this matter very seriously. As this is an active and ongoing administrative investigation, no additional information is available for release at this time. Well, the media has some thoughts, so we're going to look at some of the articles on this, but this is the first. I don't think it's the only repercussions we're going to see from Proctor's phone. Remember what we saw in the request for a protective order. Remember what the prosecutors were saying were in some of the group chats. Because when they asked for the protective order, they said the group chats had photos of a delicate and intimate nature of non-members of the group chat. names of victims, details of investigations, and more. So, are these group chat problems? Maybe. What other dominoes are going to fall? I guess we're going to have to wait and see. The funny part is they're all going to have to wait and see too. So, that's fun for them. I'm sure that's delightful for them. So, we will have to see what Canton does with this IA investigation, but we know they're not going to be able to ignore it. The public is going to want to know. And this is not going away. And at some point, more of those Proctor texts are going to come to light, and defense attorneys are going to have them. So if law enforcement agencies don't take action, the defense bar is going to be like, what are you doing? So everyone in those chats have to be worried. They have to be worried. So, Emily, you're giggling too much. Look, man, it's time to find out. It's not okay. And I was so appalled by Proctor's 2020 interview where he was just like, I mean, I wouldn't do anything different. Maybe I would do this to say that I did it. The culture is so broken that I imagine a lot of these officers are like, but what? What do you mean? I don't see the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. Everybody else sees the problem. It's not okay. They're all going to be like, but no, but nothing. But it was personal text. That was Proctor's argument the entire time. But it was personal text. Y'all, this whole group of folk are a little bit younger than I am. Not much. Not much. Little bit younger than I am. We would have all been in high school at the same time. I was just on a completely different coast. A little bit younger than I am. Did your parents never say to you, if everyone else is jumping off a bridge, would you jump off a bridge? Was this just my parents? Well, if everybody else was doing it, would you do it? I mean, all of you want to come testify wearing a cross and talking about going to church. What are we doing? Well, everybody else is in the group chat. I don't care. I don't care if everybody else is in the group chat. Some of you are saying it was a cliff, but same. If everybody else was jumping off a cliff, would you? All of you in the chat are like, yep. And their culture is... what? When are we going to get to the it was just jokes? When are we going to get to the it was just jokes part? It's not okay. It's not going to go well. And I imagine that there are a lot of lawyers working with these police departments going, okay, I don't care how you feel about all of this. You need to follow your policies and procedures. You need to follow the rules, and you need to clean house. You need to do all three of those. You need to follow the civil rights. You need to follow all the processes, and you need to clean house. Because y'all are aware, and the lawsuits are going to break you if you do not get rid of all of these fools. So, but we learned that the Duncan headquarters is in Canton. I think the Dunkies headquarters would be like, I don't want any part of it. Stay away from our donuts. There are gonna be some more unemployed police officers. And what's gonna be funny is when they all start turning on each other to save their own ass. I wonder how many of them are going to blame Proctor. Because if Proctor's phone hadn't been opened up, I don't think any of this would have come to light. boy, that's a real big bummer for everybody, isn't it? Let's take a look at some of the media reporting on this because we're just not done talking about it yet. We'll answer some questions, but we're not done talking about it yet. I'm gonna have to go to reader mode in a minute because the autoplay. Tell me the autoplay's not listening to me. Oh, yes, that is an ad for a dental office immediately populating 100%. The headline reads, member of Canton Police Department accused of misconduct placed on leave. We're going to reader mode immediately. For those of you who do not love the reader mode, I apologize. It A, makes it easier for my brain to read, and B, it is, well, I can't with the flashing ads that populate all the time. A member of the Canton Police Department who testified in the first Karen Reed trial is on paid administrative leave after being accused of misconduct, the department announced Monday. The town was notified on October 24th about the allegations of misconduct, and Sergeant Sean Goode was placed on leave. Quote, the town engaged an independent investigator to conduct a thorough administrative investigation into the allegations of misconduct, a town official said in a statement. Reed was accused and later acquitted in the death of her boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe. Remember, Boston PD has nothing to do with it. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Boston PD is all over this thing. The "it wasn't me" is not going to work. No shaggy defense. Law enforcement is always like, oh, God. You know, you arrest somebody and they're like, these aren't even my pants. It wasn't me. And now law enforcement is doing the exact same thing. It wasn't me. Y'all stop it. Stop it. I'm sure if you had asked Proctor and Albert, dude, where's my gun that night, they both would have looked at you and said, this is deep inside baseball joke, but they both would have looked at you and said, oh, I had 2 beers. But they dead ass, they both would have looked at you and said that. And then the next morning texting like, this is the worst hangover ever. I'm rolling back and forth in the bed. I'm going to die. I'm never going to drink again. And then, have you seen my service weapon? Oops. Skipping past some of the recapping of the Reed trial that we are all well familiar with, it says in Monday's announcement, acting Canton Chief Joe Perkins said he learned of the allegations against Goode during an investigation of a former member of a different law enforcement agency, but did not specify if Goode's alleged misconduct was related to the Reed case. Here's what's fair in that. The misconduct may very well not be related to the Reed case. It came to light because of the investigation into Proctor. The Reed case started the boulder rolling downhill. But the misconduct might not be related to the Reed case at all. It might be related to something entirely different, a different case, what have you. That's fair. We don't know. It was discovered because of the Reed case. So it's fair. We do not know what it's related to. And if it's a one thing or a more thing, we don't know. They go on to say, or they go on to quote the rest of the press release that we read together. And they go on to say earlier this year, the Canton Police Department was subject of an audit about the handling of the death of Boston police officer John O'Keefe. They audited other cases as well. The audit was held before the second murder trial of Reed and did not find any evidence of corruption, tampering, or conspiracy, despite some criticism of the department's crime scene protocol. One of the questions about the police investigation was the decision to use a leaf blower to uncover bloodstains and broken pieces of glass. Auditors, however, did not fault Canton Police for not photographing O'Keefe in the spot where he was first found, and also noted that critical witnesses who were with Reed at the time O'Keefe's body was found, including Jem McCabe and Carrie Roberts, were not immediately interviewed at police headquarters afterwards where they could be recorded. Yeah, they're among other things. The auditors also criticized the way that Canton officers used red Solo cups to collect evidence, but said there was no evidence that police tried to frame Reed or anyone else. So that is where we are with Canton PD for the moment. These investigations are not done. What we might not see immediately is any repercussions from those who might have already retired. It's going to be so weird because a lot of times you will see retirements in March. It's going to be so weird if all of a sudden a whole bunch of folk just retire and they're just like, oh, bye. It's going to be so strange. But what we have learned from the press releases and the media reporting is that Sergeant Sean Goode was suspended with pay pending an internal affairs investigation. That IA investigation is being done by an outside agency, and this happened because of Proctor. They made it very, very clear that the indications of misconduct came up during an investigation of a former law enforcement officer with another agency, e.g., former trooper Michael Proctor with Mass State Police. And they were alerted on the 24th. Trooper Proctor had support for him and his appeal withdrawn by his union on the 23rd of October. The next day, the next day, they put Sean Goode on leave. What else is in Proctor's phone? Because this took more than a week to hear about. People started hearing rumblings of it and started pressing, it seems, the town of Canton, and Canton finally released it. But it's not the only scandal that's going on. Many of you asked if we were going to cover Ted Daniels' reporting. I think we have time to. What do you think, law nerds? For those of you who are like, yeah, what else is going on? Why not? We've got a minute. Let's go look. I'm going to put a link to make sure that you guys have the statements from Canton. Let me do that before I forget, because they were difficult to find. Before we move on. Oh no, let's talk about Cox first, and then we'll talk about more going on with MSP. Let's do that, because I haven't read this yet. I saw the headline. I know, risky business, Emily. You saw the headline and went, let's just cover it live. Let's just send it together. Yeah, I did. I 100% did that. Let's do it. Let's talk about Cox. Emily, no! Look, man. Look. I was sent numerous screenshots of a thumbnail from Peter that literally says Jackson slams Cox. And I giggled for 3 days. I giggled for days. So we're just gonna let that go. We're just letting it go. Let's talk about Cox real quick. Not COX, like Fox. COX. Boston Police Department Commissioner, BPD Commissioner Cox. We talked about this on the podcast yesterday on the Emily show. We showed that interview where he's like, who, me? I have no idea why they're talking about me. What? I don't know why I came up in the Karen Reed case. I don't know anything. Didn't see anything here. I know nothing. We have no involvement in the Karen Reed case. And at the time that interview came out, we all hollered together, the victim was one of your officers from your department found on the lawn of another officer of your department. So for those of you that didn't watch the podcast yet, here's the summary. Alan Jackson wrote a scathing letter to the mayor of Boston and the head of the Post Commission saying, look, Boston's top cop, the police commissioner, Commissioner Cox, needs to be put on the Brady list because it is verifiable that he lied in that statement to media. And then Jackson went on to quote an email from who?
The FBI!
Went on to quote an email from the FBI to Commissioner Cox. It was a following up on our phone call. The discovery we discussed has been turned over to the prosecution, and the officer we spoke about was Dever. He would have gotten her name right, whatever. So the email was provided, it seems, during a FOIA request, because your public email can be Information Act requested. And then the next day, the very next day, 12 hours or less later, he's got an appointment on his calendar to meet with said officer, who he says he didn't meet with. And at trial, there's a lot of things that she testified to that I went, okay, girl. But when she said that they met and downplayed what the meeting was about, I believed that they had a meeting. I didn't question whether they had a meeting. What happened to that meeting, I got questions about. But the fact that they met, no question from me. And it's on his public calendar. Absolutely, they met. What they said at that meeting seems to be under or up for discussion. But he said unequivocally, no, I don't know anything about that. So Alan Jackson said, excuse me, liar. I need to put Khloe Kardashian screaming liar on the soundboard. Like, liar, you need to be put on the Brady list because you absolutely lied about this meeting, and you are in a position to influence the testimony or evidence in future cases. You sat down with Dever. At this point, I started it because it bugged her so much, and she was so sideways about it on the stand. She was so upset about Jackson pronouncing her name the wrong way, and not at all upset that she was slowly ending her own career by saying, yes, I told the FBI that I saw them in the Sally Port with Karen Reed's car, but then I learned that I couldn't have. I created a false memory. And I'm like, oh, well, that's it. That's it. We're out, folks. She can't testify again. She can never testify again. Because you get pulled over for a speeding ticket and this officer shows up in court, you or your lawyer is going to be like, I'm sorry, it's a false memory that I was going over 55. Can never testify again with credibility. So Jackson was saying, look, we have the emails. This meeting was on calendar. You said you had no idea. The FBI fucking called you and gave you a briefing. Bro, what? Mackenzie, the podcast was from yesterday. We send it out on the Law Nerd app, and it is on the Emily Show channel. So the name of the pod is the name of the channel. You can also listen to it on any of your audio apps. So he responded. He responded. Let's take a look at what he had to say, because I don't know either. I'm very curious. That also, every single website is laid out differently, so they can just show you all of the ads. Here we go. Here's the headline from Boston 25. BPD Commissioner Cox responds to calls by Karen Reed's lawyer to be placed on the Brady list. Great. Immediately into reader mode. Just immediate yeet into reader mode, because I literally can't. Look at how much smaller this article is once we place it in reader mode. Karen Reed's defense attorney, Alan Jackson, sent Mayor Michelle Wu a scathing letter. Was he slammed? A scathing letter calling on Boston Police Commissioner Michael Cox to be placed on the quote-unquote Brady list It doesn't need quotes. It's just the Brady list. That's the name of the list. The list is used by prosecutors to track police officers who have engaged in misconduct or have credibility issues. Have you been caught lying? Has he been caught lying? Let me know in the comments of the podcast and in the chat. Quote from BPD Commissioner Cox, who told Boston 25 News on Monday, "What I need is to not be asked this question ever again pertaining to anything to do with the police department." Sir. Sir. That is a wild take. That is a wild take. What I need is to not be asked this question ever again pertaining to anything to do with the police department. My condolences to the O'Keefe family for what they've gone through, because we did lose a department member. But outside that, this has nothing to do with us, and I am not going to speak on this again. Commissioner Cox also shut down allegations that he would be stepping down after the election. "I am denying that rumor," he said. Becky RN in the chat said that response is worse than his first. I think it really is. I think it's worse than the first. It really is. I feel like, I mean, it's a 1-minute interview. Do we need to go watch it again? I'm going to put up a poll. I feel like we've got a minute. Let's see. I'm going to ask you guys, because if all of you just watched it on the podcast, we won't spend the time doing it. But if a lot of you are just like, send it, we'll just do it. I don't care if it's because you want to see it again or you just want to giggle about it with the live stream chat. If you just want to chat about it with the law nerds, we can do it again. Because, oh my God. Wasn't he saying that he wanted things to be more transparent in the investigations? I guess that's gone right out the window. What I need is to not be asked this question ever again. Sir, it's not about you. It's not about you. Did you meet with an officer? Also, if you met with an officer, how hard is it to just, not very, apparently, but how difficult is it to say, hey, the FBI reached out to us about something I didn't know about. So I reached out to the officer that was involved and asked if they needed anything, asked if they knew they were a witness. If there's nothing wrong with that, then why is everyone working so hard to distance themselves from this conversation? And if you did tell Officer Dever to, quote, do the right thing, it seems that she thought that she was by saying, well, we met, but there's nothing wrong. Okay, well, if you met and there's nothing wrong, why is the police commissioner doing everything in his power to say that it never happened? It's a full, it wasn't me. A full, like, me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I don't know what you're talking about. If there's nothing weird about it, why are you making it so weird? Like, stop making it weird if it's not weird, but you're making it fucking weird. The amount of distancing and stop asking me about it is wild. You've never answered a question about it. So people are going to keep asking about it until you answer a question about it. You hold a public office. And they have your emails to the FBI about this case. We have nothing to do with it. You didn't investigate the case. But one of your officers that had worked at Canton PD was now working for you. And you had a meeting because the FBI reached out to you. That's why you had a meeting. So even though you didn't investigate the case, it's not that it has nothing to do with you. And if you had just said, yes, we had a meeting because the FBI reached out to me and I wanted to let the officer know that this was all being turned over, how hard is that? Obviously very, because that's never what was said. It was never said, yeah, I wanted to make sure this officer knew what was being turned over and that they were going to be called as a witness. I wanted to make sure they were aware. The FBI gave me a heads up. I gave my officer the heads up. And then, the defense can try to make that look one way or the other, but it is what it is. You know what it's not? I had no idea about any of this because nobody believes that. Nobody believes it. And Alan Jackson has decided that he's going to go full scorched earth. And you know what you don't want to do? You don't want to get on the petty side of a dogged attorney because they will dog you out. And once you spark the petty side, they will never let it go. Lawyers can be incredibly petty human beings. It's one of their features. Might not work well in other careers, but tracking down every single thing is zealously advocating for their client. And the thing is, most attorneys don't have this much material to work with. This doesn't stop. Most attorneys are trying to find something to work with. And they're like, oh, look, like in the Corey Richards case, the defense is like, oh my God, look, the person who sold narcotics said that they sold narcotics, but they didn't think the narcotics were fentanyl. Most defense attorneys are trying to take that thing and turn it into a much bigger thing. Jackson has so much to work with that I don't even think he knows what to do with himself sometimes. He's just like, oh my God, how do we have so much? How does this keep happening? Great. What do we do with this one? And because he made that public request and because it became publicly known to, the entire defense bar of Boston, now the defense bar is going to start pushing on it because now they're all aware. By releasing this letter publicly to the media, everyone knows. All of the defense attorneys know. And so when you have Boston police officers, it's going to be like, hey, you have any conversations with your commissioner? I'd sure like to know about that. Has he asked you anything about this case? It's now a reasonable question. And they have a good faith basis to ask it. And his response is, I need you to stop. I need you to stop asking me. What a wild take. What an absolutely wild take. All right, let me grab that. Let me grab that interview real quick. We'll go take a look together. It's going to have a little bit of background noise, but it's like literally a minute and a half long. So we'll take a peek together. Hold on. I get to play with our bugs, our little Lawnard bugs for the, there we go. There we go. Just so we're clear. This interview was shortly at the end of the Karen Reed case. Let me make sure that the closed captioning is on. It's about a minute long. And the commissioner was at a presser for something completely different. It had nothing to do with the Karen Reed case. And of course, because Deaver Dever had testified at the Reed trial number 2, of course the media wants to know everything about it. He should have known that he was going to be asked about it. But alas, he seems caught off guard.
Your name came up during the recent Karen Reed trial. You got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever. The defense implied that you influenced your testimony. Do you want to respond to that?
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case.
I picked the wrong angle. I picked the wrong angle because somebody's microphone dead cat is right in the face. And yes, that is what that wind cover is. I did that badly. I did that badly. I don't know how I did that badly, but I absolutely did. Let's go to the other one. Emily, you're changing your mind. Yeah, that one sucks. I had a backup one just in case.
Your name
We're gonna do that again. Take 2. Live streaming's dynamic, but the she doesn't even go here is wild. Well, she doesn't now. Former Boston police officer Kelly Dever, because she resigned. So let's do this instead. There we go.
Trial. You got a visit from Officer Kelly Dever. The defense implied that you influenced her testimony. Do you want to respond to that?
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. You know, I have an organization, Philip.
Keep that in mind, will you? I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. Please keep that in mind. Law nerds, keep that in mind. Just tink, tink, just noodle that away, please. Noodle that away. Noodle it away. Remember, he's at a press conference for a totally unrelated thing. So this was, what, a year ago? A little less? And the answer is still, why are you asking me about this? How are you still not aware why people are asking you about it? Let's back that up. I didn't even know that person was related to the Karen Reed case.
It's implied that you influenced her testimony. Do you want to respond to that?
I have nothing to do with Karen Reed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know this person was associated with the Karen Reed case. You know, I have an organization, Philip, over 3,000 people, and we support all our folks. And the reality is that, I get information passed on, whether people are high or low, and I encourage everyone, right? And if you're going to work here and you belong here, then we're going to encourage you.
It's interesting that he says, I encourage everyone, because that's exactly what she said in her testimony, that he was encouraging and supportive. So if he has no idea who this is, why are you saying what she said? Just curious.
I have no idea what they're talking about with Karen Reed. It had nothing to do with Karen Reed. No discussion about Karen.
Did you tell Officer Dever to?
No discussion. The reporter jumps in to ask another question. No discussion about Karen Reed. No discussion.
Do the right thing.
I didn't know she was even associated with that case. So, I don't know. I was struck. Like, what do I have to do with the Karen Reed case?
She doesn't even go here. She doesn't even go here. What's Karen Reed? What's a Karen Reed? Is it a book? What are we talking? Is this a book talk thing? What are we doing? What's it? I don't even know. Who? What? Huh? I don't know who that is. I have no idea what you're talking about. What do I have to do with this?
I never have said those words together. And so the fact is, it's much to do about nothing.
The fact is, it's much to do about nothing. I'd be curious how often the FBI has direct communication with the Boston Police Commissioner, direct communication about one of their officers. Is this a regular occurrence? I imagine this is not a regular occurrence that you're having phone calls with the FBI about an officer from your department who was killed, found on the lawn of another officer from your department, and the FBI is letting you know that one of the other officers in your department is a witness, and that all that information has been turned over to the prosecution, and that there is a federal investigation going on at the same time there's a state level prosecution going on. All of those things are unusual circumstances. I've never heard those two words together. I don't even know who she is. We support everyone. I've never talked to anyone about the Karen Reed case. Let's just refresh what's in that email real quick from Alan Jackson, because it makes this response even more appalling, doesn't it? This is the letter from Alan Jackson, full breakdown podcast. We'll link it down below if you want to go watch. Newly obtained evidence proves that Cox knowingly misrepresented his involvement on February 22nd, 2024. This is around the same time that Proctor testified at the grand jury, isn't it? Around the same time that the Proctor phone stuff all came up. It was right around the same time. On February 22nd, 2024, the FBI's Boston field office sent Commissioner Cox an email. I'm going to need to make an entire fucking PowerPoint timeline. The FBI's Boston field office sent Commissioner Cox an email explicitly referencing Dever. They spelled her name right. And the Reed investigation. The email from Assistant Special Agent in Charge Stephen Keller to Cox said, quote, "Just a reminder. The documents were released to the DA's office late last night. The officer we spoke about is Kelly Dever." The very next day, on February 23rd at 11 a.m., Cox's official calendar lists a meeting with Officer Kelly Dever, exactly as Dever would later testify and Cox would deny. The timeline is indisputable. Look, Jackson can be hyperbolic about some things. That's not hyperbole to me. That's just facts. That's just facts. So for him to get asked about it again after this letter, after the email, after everything, for his response to be, "What I need is to not be asked about this ever again pertaining to anything to do with the police department," you've got to be fucking joking me. I'm sure he would like that. Hi, Trav. I thought you had already gone to school. You didn't hear anything that I just said. Love you, buddy. Have a good day. Bye. I thought he had already left. It's not like he's never heard me rant in that fashion before. And at 17, after spending an entire summer on a bus with DCI, I don't disabuse myself of the notion that he has never heard more and or worse. But I was in the middle of the what in the fuck? Oh my God. Jolene, yes, Travis is driving, and it's lovely because there are some nights during band season that I'm real happy that I am not picking him up after the band gets back. And there are some mornings where their call time is so early. I am very happy when they're like, "Hey guys, we all need to be in Alabama, so I'm going to need your kids at the school at 5:30 a.m. I'm real happy that I can just be like, "Drive safe. I'm going to go back and get my bed." And sometimes he comes in and he's like, "I'm leaving." I'm like, "I'm going to be here under the covers. I'll see you in a bit." And then we drive down to Alabama, which, by the way, breaks the brains of my California family because we're just driving to another state. They're just like, what? And I'm like, no, they're like, Tennessee's like this wide. It's real easy to just hop down to another state or up to another. Like, going east-west can be a little more time consuming, but north-south, it's just like, oh, look, we've crossed 3 states in like 4 hours. It's no big deal. And we got to stop at Buc-ee's in Athens. It was lovely. It was a great day. Anyway, Travis's band got best color guard in their division during finals. It was very exciting. Oh, Bandtober. It was an emotional week. It was his last high school halftime show that he was performing and his last high school band comp. It was like, the lasts are rough. It's so much. So, Katie, yeah, we absolutely drove. It's so much easier. And I would absolutely fly out of BNA instead of out of Huntsville because it's just a larger airport. It's so much easier. It's just like, right to Huntsville. All right. Emily, you've disassociated from how wild all of this is to talk about band. It makes you much happier. Look, I want people to do their jobs well. I'm real frustrated when they don't. And if the person that you are looking to for accountability is like, I need y'all to stop asking me about it, I don't have a lot of confidence. I don't have a lot of confidence. Kimberly Allison, if you want to share, let me know at core. And also, yay, we love band directors. Look, man, band directors have such incredible impact on kids' lives, and good band directors make a huge difference. Tyranny said, is G going to do band? I will tell you this quick story. G does play an instrument. To all of my band and band associated folks, you'll understand this. G picked an instrument, and I said, buddy, what instrument are you picking? And he said, trumpet. And I said, that's an interesting choice. I would have for sure thought drums were your vibe. Why did you pick trumpet? This child looked at me and said, it's the loudest and most annoying. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's in your soul. It's in your soul that you're a trumpet player then. Okay. Okay. It's literally in your DNA that you're a trumpet player. It just, you don't pick trumpet, trumpet picks you. It's a vibe. And I was like, yep, trumpet chose you 100%. So that's where we are with G. G is a no fucks given kind of a kid, which I love. All right. Speaking of apparently no fucks given, when I said I did not preview the response and I was kind of raw dogging Cox's statement, shit. Too far. It's too, whatever. We're already demonetized because of the music. Today is too much. Today is just too much. So, for all of you that are like, Emily, it's not even after dark. I know, we just can't. So, for the choice to look at the commissioner's response without previewing it, I'm so glad that is the choice we made, because what I didn't expect is that Boston Police Department Commissioner Cox would respond with, stop it. What I need is to not be asked this question ever again pertaining to anything to do with the police department. My condolences to the O'Keefe family for what they've gone through, because we did lose a department member. But outside of that, this has nothing to do with us, and I'm not going to speak on this again. That is a wild statement. How do you think Alan Jackson responded to this statement? Because I think he giggled. If not straight out laughed in disbelief. Because this is wild. It's absolutely a wild take. So I am sure that, a lot of you in chat said bet. I imagine that Jackson said bet. And I hope that the reporters in the area did too, because this isn't a statement. This isn't a response. This isn't clarification. Also, they have your public records. They know you had a meeting. Why are you still distancing yourself from having the meeting? If you had started this entire thing with, I wanted to give my officer a heads up that this was being turned over to the DA's office and that their name came up with it. And I had talked to the FBI about it, so they were aware. People would have criticized it, but I think others would have said, that was the choice of the department to give their officer the heads up. That's fair. But who? What? We didn't even know she was associated with the Karen Reed case. Bro, your email directly says that you knew. She doesn't even go here is not a response. And from she doesn't even go here to how dare you fucking ask me this question is absolutely insane. This is a wild take. This is also why people have comms departments? Because if this was going to be the statement, the better statement would have been reach out to media relations. I mean, I feel like Commissioner Cox is like, bravo, bravo, fucking bravo. Time out. You can't ask me that. Yeah, they can. They're the media and you're the commissioner of Boston Police Department. They can ask you that. They get to ask you that. And it wouldn't be weird if you stopped making it weird. But the how dare you ask me this is a stunning response. And not in a good way. So we got one more in Massachusetts to look at, but I didn't think after the podcast on Monday when we talked about Commissioner Cox being requested to be placed on the Brady list by Alan Jackson, I didn't think that very same day we would have a response from Commissioner Cox. And I sure didn't think that response was going to be, I need you to stop asking me that question. Because what I've learned from most reporters is that when they're told stop asking this question, their response is generally going to be, I have questions, especially because that email from the FBI is absolutely clear and unambiguous. You did know who Officer Dever was, former Officer Dever, she resigned. You did know that she was associated with the Karen Reed case because the FBI told you. And you did know that there was a meeting on your calendar. And if you had forgotten, it seems that what you would have said to the media is, I saw my name brought up. I need to go back and look. We have a very active department. But if someone from my department was a witness in a case like this, I might have. I need to go back and look. But no, that was not the response. And then he doubled down almost the same way that Proctor did. It's giving, I regret nothing. How dare you ask me? Sir, you were caught pretty directly in what seems to be a provable and direct misrepresentation. And your response was, stop asking me, bro. This is not going to go well. And it's not just Canton. And it's not just MSP. We have seen this from Canton, from MSP, and from Boston PD. Also, how do you not care about the case where one of your officers, who's, by the way, when you first look at this case and you look at everything John O'Keefe and his family have been through, it sticks out in your mind. And we saw that with witness after witness after witness saying, I knew John O'Keefe's name because I knew that his sister had died and then his brother-in-law had died and he took in his niece and nephew. People knew his story, even if they didn't know him. They knew that he was close to his former police partner's former wife and her or partner and their child after he lost his former police partner. They knew that he was seemingly doing what he could to take care of those around him. People knew his story. If I remember accurately, Boston PD changed John O'Keefe's assignment in like a full Saving Private Ryan style to try to keep him safe and have him not on the streets. So he was doing work that was more conducive to suddenly being a single parent. So to say that this has nothing to do with our department, it's shocking to me the lack of care that you wouldn't want answers to what happened to your fallen officer who your department seemed to go out of their way to try to protect, and on the lawn of another officer. How do you not want answers? Also, if MSP is not investigating, how are the upper levels of law enforcement at Boston PD not outraged? I have not talked to a single person who is law enforcement or law enforcement adjacent who doesn't have criticisms and critiques of this investigation. And candidly, who isn't shocked that this investigation didn't go above and beyond. Most say something along the lines of, I mean, all cases should be investigated. But you know that when it's the death of an officer, it is literally all hands on deck. And that's just the reality. This case is such a stark opposite to what anyone would expect. And you look at the behavior of those involved, and none of the behavior makes any sense. None of it. And that's why we are continuing to see fallout from this case, because none of it makes any sense. And you would think that Boston PD would want answers. Because if another department's not adequately investigating the death of one of their officers, you would think that would be a problem for them. The brass at Boston PD would be like, what are you doing? Why don't we have answers? The behavior doesn't make sense. And because the behavior doesn't make sense, people are going to keep asking questions. Humans are curious. We want to know. We want to know what happened. I hope the media in Boston keeps asking this question. I mean, it's kind of like the internet. You tell the internet something that bugs you, Kelly Dever, and they're never going to let it go. They're never going to give you up. They're never going to let you go. They're never going to run around and desert you. They would never. So, yeah, I imagine he's going to get asked about this a lot. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. I saw a comment I was trying to grab in the chat. Y'all are chatting much. So I was, okay, Erica in the chat said, exactly, EDB, as the wife of an officer, that was the first thing that told me something was wrong with this case. It is just a reality. All cases should be investigated well. But it is absolutely a reality that when you are looking at harm and death to a police officer, that one would expect a different level and an intense level of interest and investigation. And everybody's just meh. And the meh doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So what else is there? Because I'm waiting for the, I don't know, it was a butt dial. I'm waiting for all of that to make sense. Marcy1 in the chat said, my friend's brother just met Mr. Astley and they exchanged phone numbers. Oh my God. The glorious rickrolling. I love it. I love that he seems to have a very good sense of humor about the meme. But honestly, it's 2025 and all of us are like, can you just tell me that you're never going to give me up? You're never going to let me down. You're never going to run around and desert me. Like, I feel like this is a declaration of love that we need. Miss 808 in the chat. This was with a fucking perfect swiftness. Was it 8675309? 100%. 100%. That is 10 out of 10. Lawnards, you are the best. The swiftness. The swiftness. Ugh, I love it. I love it so much. Just perfection. Okay. We're not done with Boston. We are still shipping up to Boston. I have not read this yet, so the level of not good, I don't even know. But I very much like Ted Daniels' reporting. So we're just going to jump in with both feet and take a look at what Ted Daniels has to say. This is a different article. Hold on, let me find this real quick because I think I was looking in the wrong place. Oh, I didn't refresh my document. Well, that helps. If I don't refresh, it just doesn't pop up. Let me find this real quick. So thank you, Miguelina, for posting this in the document. I had forgotten to refresh it. Boo on me. All right. Let's take a look at Boston 25 investigate with Ted Daniels, because look, I say I'm just a legal commentator. I'm just a legal commentator. I appreciate that there are local, and I always look for local reporting, that there are local reporters that are like, we're doing investigative reporting. We're going to track it down and try to get to the bottom of it. It's an incredibly valuable and needed thing. It's not my thing, but it's an incredibly valuable and needed thing. I'm way too ADHD for that. I'm like, oh shit, this thing happened. Let's talk about it. Working for months on a thing and then being like, surprise. I could never. I would just explode. But Ted Daniels is like, huh, that's weird. That's suspicious. And I realized we never flew to Boston. So let's go to Logan real quick. We can't deny the law nerds their miles. Look, I love a reward program. I have no idea what these ads are. We're going to reader mode in 30 seconds. Boston 25 investigates GPS quote unquote kill switch allows MSP cruisers to go dark and disable tracking. That doesn't sound good. That's not what's supposed to happen. That's not what we're supposed to do. You're not supposed to be able to turn it off. You don't need to go dark. You're not a stealth bomber. What are we doing? Also, oh my God. Okay. We're going to take a look. Have I read this article? No, I haven't. I don't know. But I know that a lot of you were like, girl, are we talking about this? Yeah, we are. We'll talk about Sarah Boone in a minute. Yeah, we are. GPS quote unquote kill switch allows MSP cruisers to go dark and disable tracking. This doesn't make any sense to me that this is even an option. It doesn't make sense that this is even an option. And we saw in the Karen Reed case, a lot of people being like, oh, I needed to use my personal vehicle. I needed my personal vehicle. The MSP spends nearly $70,000 a month. $70,000 a month on a sophisticated GPS tracking system designed to enhance accountability and public safety. But 25 investigates discovered a loophole. Hundreds of cruisers are equipped with a quote unquote kill switch that allows the tracking to be disabled. I was maybe 2 months in to the DA's office when there were a few things that I believe to be true. First of all, whenever somebody says these aren't my pants, it's definitely not the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants that just happen to have narcotics in the pocket. That's not happening. 2, don't be where you're not supposed to be. Don't be where you're not supposed to be. If you're where you're not supposed to be, you're going to make bad choices. Especially if shit goes sideways. If shit goes sideways and you're not where you're supposed to be, the choices you make are not going to be good. Don't be where you're not supposed to be. The amount of cases where people doubled down on bad decision making out of stress because they were already where they were not supposed to be, or had someone in the car with them that wasn't supposed to be in the car with them, and then they get in a car accident, and then it gets worse. Don't be where you're not supposed to be. Look, it's been a very long time since I was at UMass Amherst. But I remember the first time that the fire alarms went off in our tower. I was in one of the tower dorms. And when the fire alarms went off in the tower, it was real interesting to see who was coming out of whose room. This was early on into freshman year. And I was like, that's interesting. Because no one expects it's going to be a thing. It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine until everyone has to evacuate the building and walk down like 18 fucking flights of stairs. It's a real awkward walk down all of the stairs. Don't be where you're not supposed to be. It's really not that hard. What are we doing? hundreds of cruisers from Mass State Police have a quote unquote kill switch that allows tracking to be disabled. What are you doing with those cars? Y'all, what are you doing? I mean, apparently driving them under the influence, or at least former Trooper Proctor was. What are you doing with your police cruisers? It's your work car. There are rules. How many of you have to turn in like fucking mileage reports? And then stress yourself out that if you're off by like a quarter of a mile, you're going to like get indicted by the IRS or some shit. How do all of you have more accountability in your work than MSP? What is happening? Your work computers are more tracked than they are. Are you joking me? TikTok tracks you more than apparently these officers are tracked. All of you should be offended that you are held to a higher standard. And all of you should be kinder to yourself, because this is just fuckery. Art Campbell, me too. Art Campbell in the chat said, for everybody listening in the background that's like, Emily, seriously, what the fuck? I don't want to have to pause and go back to figure out what was on the screen. Art Campbell in the chat said, I was on 18 in JA. I was in JA and JQA. Continuing on. I liked being on the 18th floor. Also, I requested to be on the 18th floor because I didn't want to forget sophomore year what floor I was on. I was like, can I just be on the same floor? Even if it's a different building, can I please just be on the same floor? I'm going to get lost. They all look the same. They all look the same. I don't want to end up walking into the wrong room because I'm on the wrong floor or in the wrong building. It's very confusing. I'm sure security is better now than it was. Rachel in the chat points out a very, very real circumstance. Rachel says, I work in healthcare and everything has my name on it. Yeah, 17,000 times, healthcare workers. You've got to like swipe a thing and write a thing and swipe a thing and write a thing. All of you. You're incredibly tracked. I love seeing all of you talking about your dorms at UMass. The MSP spends nearly $70,000 a month to track their police vehicles, but the police vehicles have a kill switch that lets them turn it off. Great. Investigative reporter Ted Daniel learned about the feature while reviewing disciplinary records about former state police detective Michael Proctor, who was fired for conduct revealed in Karen Reed's first murder trial. That's well written. It's very specific and accurate. I appreciate it. Proctor was being investigated for an overtime shift where he and Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert, we just talked about this earlier. Oh, it all comes back to Kevin Albert and the dude where's my gun evening. I mean, I would have wanted to pull on that thread too. Proctor was being investigated for an overtime shift where he and Canton Police Detective Kevin Albert stated they traveled to Cape Cod to work a quote-unquote cold case. Documents from state police and Canton police show the two stopped for beers at the Treehouse Brewery and Sandwich before having dinner and more drinks in Hanover on the way home. They stopped twice. That's new information. Also, having a sandwich and Sandwich sounds delightful. They stopped twice. They stopped for beers and then stopped for dinner and more drinks in Hanover. I guarantee you if they were asked, they would have said I had 2 beers. I guarantee you. They fucking stopped twice. The following day, Albert texted Proctor a picture of 2 alcoholic drinks with a message, "It's bad. I was hungover for sure today," according to a Canton Police investigative report about the innocent. It also came up in trial. Albert contends this text was a joke. No, I did not read this article in advance. It's just predictable. If you wrote this in a script, it would be rejected for being too predictable and too outlandish. And not being second screen viewing. It'd be like, no, nobody's going to believe this. It's too predictable. Just a joke, bro. I was hungover for sure today. I don't get the joke. Can you explain it to me? Because y'all seem to drink on the regular. Albert contends it was a joke. 25 Investigates filed a public records request for Proctor's GPS records from that day. Love it. The data shows Proctor's unmarked cruiser drove a total of 8 seconds and never left his hometown of Canton. Do you think when Ted Daniels reviewing this, he's sitting there going, or wait, I need to know, Ted Daniel, does this loop in your head?
That's suspicious. That's weird.
That happens to me all the time. In my brain, I just hear Cardi B. That's so weird. Huh. He testified on the stand that he was all over the place on this. He was like down the Cape. I mean, he was probably in traffic at some point. The GPS records, and he said he was in his department vehicle. The GPS records say that he drove 8 seconds and never left Canton. The rest of his travels were never recorded because Proctor's tracking device had been shut off. They're never going to know. They're going to know. They're never going to know. They're going to know. How are they going to know? They're going to know. Unbelievable. The state police began installing automated vehicle locator or AVL technology in vehicles in 2019, costing an initial $225,000. Then Colonel Christopher Mason touted the system as a key accountability tool following a major overtime fraud scandal in 2018. I'm sorry. What the fuck? How did you install vehicle trackers to deal with an overtime fraud scandal and then have trackers that could be turned off? I just have to ask the next question. Is it because you wanted the appearance of accountability without actual accountability? Inquiring minds and all. Because I imagine after the overtime fraud scandal, which is going to have to now go on the fucking diagram PowerPoint timeline, they install the systems, and I imagine that they told the public, don't worry, everybody. We're going to track their work cars. Any of you have a work car? Most of them have tracking. And you still have to do the motherfucking mileage reports. Which seems redundant. But anyway. Most of them have tracking. I mean, hell, almost all of my kids' friends, his parents have put tracking on their cars. So you spent the taxpayer dollars and you spend $70,000 a month to tell the public, look, we've taken care of it, and then the troopers can just turn it off. Fucking hell. A state police spokesperson states the AVL says, I should have just kept reading instead of pontificating, but y'all are here for both. States the AVL system was implemented to enhance accountability. Sure, Jan. Operational efficiency and trooper safety. Empowering supervisors and investigators to cross-reference location data during timesheet reviews and internal audits. However, a, quote, small number of vehicles, mostly unmarked cruisers assigned to investigative functions, are also equipped with a second physical device or switch that allows the operator to temporarily disable the AVL. Are they going to say it's undercover vehicles, and if somebody FOIA'd the GPS of those vehicles. They could find out about an ongoing sting operation that hadn't been completed yet or some shit, because there are mechanisms within FOIA to say that this can't be released due to ongoing investigation and can be released later. Also, Ted Daniel said hundreds of cruisers. They say a small number of mostly unmarked cruisers assigned to investigative functions are equipped with a physical device or switch that allows the operator to temporarily disable the AVL. Did the public know this? Because I bet they didn't. As of September 5th, 2025, 418 state police cruiser vehicles, or about 14% of the department's 3,000 vehicles, have these switches installed. I'm sorry, is 14% a small number to you? I guess it depends on perspective, maybe. If I'm trying to be generous, I don't know why I would at this point. 14%. Because I imagine when they touted this out to the public, they said accountability, transparency. Also, if you need undercover vehicles for sting operations, 418 seems like a lot. But if you need undercover vehicles for sting operations, then don't put the AVL in them and put tracking on the officer's department issued phone, body cam. I'm sure there are other ways. Head Commit in the chat said, so transparent you can't see it. Yes, transparency and transparent got conflated. The department explained that years ago, several district attorneys' offices expressed concerns that recording investigators' locations could endanger the safety of troopers, subjects, witnesses, and victims in sensitive investigations. The switches were authorized in response to these concerns. I can see a circumstance, and I don't know how much this would happen. I can see a circumstance where officers are like, hey, if we pick up a DV victim or someone in witness protection, and we take them to a shelter, we take them to a alternative location, and you can request the GPS, one could then see where they were taken in an investigation. I can see that argument. However, what I'm not seeing is any discussion of an internal mechanism to make sure that vehicles are audited so that they're not abusing it. I can see a few for very isolated reasons, but also if somebody's assigned to a division dealing with domestic violence, couldn't you just assign them a car that doesn't have the AVL system installed instead of having a switch? I agree with this. Amanda in the chat said they should be disabled by dispatch, not the officer. Yeah. You have to put it in your MDT so there's a log of it. Hey, I need to transport a sensitive subject, witness, victim. I need 3 hours. I'll let you know when we are done. The department explained that years ago, several district attorneys' offices expressed concerns that recording investigators' locations could endanger the safety of troopers, subjects, witnesses, and victims in sensitive investigations. The switches were authorized in response to these concerns. The department denied a public records request for a list of vehicles where tracking can be shut off, stating that the information would be detrimental to the security and safety of uniformed members. It seems to me that you could deny the FOIAs or redact the information in camera hearings versus turning it off. There are other ways to deal with this, because you could absolutely object to the FOIA and have the judge review it in camera and say, I agree, and I'm removing it. I'm redacting this information out. Victim addresses, witness addresses are redacted all the time. That's not an unusual thing. Is that more work though? So, at least then the information's preserved and someone can have accountability. I mean, if you don't have an evidence log, why should I be surprised? There are so many other options here. Chat has come up with like 15 of them. The department denied a public records request for a list of vehicles where tracking can be shut off, stating that the information would be detrimental to the security and safety of uniformed officers. They did share the AVL policy with 25 Investigates in this link, and I will link this article so you can go see it. It's also linked to Ted Daniels' social media. Dennis Galvin, a retired state police major and president in the Massachusetts Association for Professional Law Enforcement, MAPLE, they love an acronym, said that there are legitimate reasons for going off radar in limited circumstances. Quote, you could wind up disclosing information about critical witness or even informants and things like that. And those are the things that it would be in the department's interest to make sure that weren't available. Wasn't available? If you have an undercover narco cop, though, just give them a vehicle that doesn't have the AVL on it. Because their undercover vehicles, they normally, withdrawn. Their undercover vehicles aren't police-looking vehicles. So you also know who you are assigning to, like a domestic violence unit or a undercover narco unit. When we're talking about MSP at Norfolk, they're homicide detectives. So I imagine that they are rarely dealing with informants. Also, the idea of running it through dispatch, at least then there's an MDT log of it. At least there's some note that it even happened. Because I understand the limited circumstances. However, it goes on to say, in Proctor's case, he was never disciplined for turning off his vehicle locator because he was authorized to do so. To go to dinner? To get drinks twice? That seems like outside of discretion to me. I would love to hear what other departments think about this. An internal affairs report from 2021 highlights how the switch can be exploited. The report details an incident where then Trooper Dwayne Correa had his gun stolen out of his unmarked cruiser following a night of drinking in Providence. Wait, this is a thing. This is like a thingy thing. This is not a one time. How the fuck are y'all so comfortable drinking on duty in your cruiser? Investigators found the officer had intentionally disabled his tracker to conceal his whereabouts from his supervisors. At the bar? Surprised he didn't run into his supervisors there. What are we doing? State police acknowledges that the approach to using the switches varied in its application across the department. I'm shocked. This does not work in a department where it seems that there aren't any rules. I mean, there's rules. It just seems that they're not followed. Colonel Jeffrey Noble recently implemented an updated policy. A state police spokesperson confirmed that the new policies gives supervisors more direct oversight, specifically for reviewing the small number of requests to temporarily disable the system to protect the personal safety of troopers, victims, and witnesses. The updated policy clarifies that the AVL should be operational during normal day-to-day activities and establishes a structured process for members to request permission to disable the system only in, quote, limited extraordinary circumstances. Why didn't they have to request permission at the beginning? Following an overtime scandal. How much more money are the taxpayers of Massachusetts going to pay? The request must detail the mission, expected duration, and specific safety reasons justifying the exemption. I don't understand why that wasn't the policy to begin with. Wild. Chad is saying that MSP needs to put the interlock devices in the patrol vehicles. Good Lord. I'm just saying, look, I have very strong feelings about DUI. You guys know this about me. I have talked about real life experience with people I know who had been and have been killed by DUI drivers. I worked a lot of DUI related homicides as a DA. I have very strong feelings about it. I am outraged and flummoxed by this behavior because officers know how incredibly dangerous it is and see it. I don't know how you see the devastation that can be created by drunk driving and be like, yeah, but I'm good. Like, I don't understand that fundamentally. And then if you were someone in Massachusetts that had ever been arrested for DUI, how are you also not outraged? I think people should be arrested for DUI. It's incredibly dangerous. But also, I get where defendants would be like, okay, but how's that even fair, though? And no one's really looking out for a police cruiser driven by someone who's intoxicated in a police vehicle with their weapon. It's absolutely horrific. And no one's a good drunk driver. And people think that they are because drinking impacts your decision making. Oh my God. It just makes me so mad. It just makes me so mad. I can't believe they need a more Jim Bro community of cops that are like, nah, drinking impacts my sleep. Pass the creatine. Like this culture where you have numerous officers feeling completely comfortable having drinks while apparently on duty, driving their department cruisers with their service weapons is horrific. It is so incredibly dangerous. AutoDoc 911, thank you for lightening the mood for me because I am pissed. Said, lol, cold case of Bud Light. Seems to be. I do not care if you choose to drink. I do not care how much you choose to drink. Don't drive. If you're going to get hurt falling down your stairs, you're going to hurt yourself. Don't hurt other people. Like, be an adult. What are you doing? This is so fucking avoidable. Is it that hard to get an Uber on the Cape? Also, let's be so for real. I would bet you that if any of these officers called up a buddy that was on duty and said, can you pick us up and take us home? That they would 100% do it. If any of them said, I need a ride home, that another officer would pick them up and take them home or take them back to the department to sleep it off. 100%. They wouldn't even necessarily need to call an Uber. Or just fucking phone a friend. What are you doing? incredibly reckless, and I shouldn't be shocked anymore. I'm just mad now. Dolly said maybe MSP needs Life 360, right? Kimberly said Providence is in Rhode Island. Yeah, it's a fair point. It's right there, but it's not even in their jurisdiction. They're not even in their state. You're carrying your service weapon across state lines to go drinking in your service vehicle. So, I didn't expect that the story about the MSP tracker switches would enrage me so much, but yet here we are, because apparently MSP says that they have a kill switch to turn off GPS tracking in a small number of police vehicles, and Ted Daniels' investigative reporting showed that that was in fact 14% of vehicles. You let me know if you consider that a small number or not. About 400 of 3,000 vehicles. And they now have a policy where you need permission and you need written approval to use the kill switch to turn off your tracking for officer safety or witness or victim safety. And you need to specify it in writing. I don't know why that wasn't the policy before, because what we learned in this article is that the reason that they installed all of the trackers to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars and $70,000 a month for the servicing of the GPS is because of an overtime scandal. And yet, Trooper Proctor, the day that he was out drinking at multiple locations with Kevin Albert, had his tracker turned off. Once again, Trooper Proctor, maybe we need to thank Trooper Proctor. Hear me out. Hear me out. Former Trooper Proctor is going to be the treasure trove of phone that takes all of this down, because somehow when he said, I delete my phone every 30 days, he didn't consider iCloud. So, Trooper Proctor, there we go. However this federal investigation started, and however they had cause to get into Trooper Proctor's work phone, which led to his personal phone, it has continued to spiral. And the Defense Bar of Massachusetts is clearly not giving up making these requests. And we are going to learn more about this throughout the Miles King case, throughout the Brian Walsh case, and I imagine in the Karen Reed civil case, and when Karen Reed sues literally everyone. Because, yep, winter is coming to Massachusetts. And I imagine that anyone who's texted with Trooper Proctor is trying to recall what they said, because I suspect, and this is purely my speculation, pure speculation, I suspect that most of them no longer have those conversations with Trooper Proctor or the phones that they were on, so they can't even go back and look. So they are going to have to try to remember what might have been, could have been said back to 2013. Good luck, everybody. Because when y'all rehomed your phones, I imagine that you don't have it download anywhere to take a look at it. So I suspect that the anxiety is going to be high this holiday season. Also, always time for a good reminder as we get into the holiday seasons. Look, plan for a driver in advance. That's all. Plan for a driver in advance. Or don't drink. We saw numerous people go to the bar the night John O'Keefe was killed and didn't drink for a variety of reasons. Most of them being like, I would get a headache. I want to get a good night's sleep. I'm not drinking. Phone a friend. Phone an Uber. I don't give a shit. Figure it out. You're adults. Adults not acting like adults. I imagine there's going to be a lot of stress going on. Just quite a bit. But eventually it seems everything comes to light. I don't know how much devastation is going to be left in the wake of this, but we are definitely not even close to even under the water of the fucking iceberg that Trooper Proctor seems to be the apex of. Also, do you think his group texts have gone radio silent with him at this point? I wonder what that's like. Because I imagine that with all of this continuing to bubble up, Trooper Proctor has become somewhat radioactive. Or maybe not. Maybe everybody's doubling down, feeling like they're the victim. That they don't regret anything, that they wouldn't have done anything wrong, that these are all jokes, that this is no big deal. That it's, I'm sorry, what did Commissioner Cox say? That it's much ado about nothing. Perhaps that's where everybody's at. I guess we'll see, won't we? Because we're not even close to done with this. Y'all, are you ready to talk about Sarah Boone? Are we ready? Who's Blue Eyes Fairy said the wires weren't just tickled, they were tickle tortured. This is a good question. Dot Dunn in the chat asked, how's long, I think it says. How's long until Trooper Proctor's wife files for divorce? I don't wish divorce on anyone. Here's the thing. If I saw reports that Trooper Proctor's wife was filing for divorce, my first consideration would be that it is a strategic decision to protect assets if he is personally sued. That would be my first thought. Trooper Proctor divorce? Where's the, who's getting the house? He's going to agree to give her everything, because if he can separate the assets before he is sued, if he is sued personally, it would protect some of the money. So Amanda asked the next logical question: if they're divorced, can she be made to testify against him, not about things that occurred during the course of their marriage? So from the date of separation onward, yeah. But from the date of separation backwards, no. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it as a strategy. Sure. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Tove said, don't give him ideas. If he has talked to a lawyer, some lawyer has mentioned this. I have not looked at the specific laws in Massachusetts. Titan Topsy said Girardi's wife was stopped from doing that because it all toppled too quickly. He was put into a conservatorship to protect him before she was able to complete the divorce. So yeah, there are circumstances because he was put into a conservatorship. But also, a lot of the property was his and was separate property before they were married. There's quite a lot of complexities, but yes. So, when you look at what could happen in a separation, I would love to see what the options are and see if we see reports of that. We'll see. Samantha said, might be wise of her, honestly, look, even though she might not want to divorce her husband, at some point you have to look at the reality of the situation and make strategic decisions for your kids, is how I think. That might be a little cold of me. But also, I've lawyer-brained. I am very practiced at logical, emotional, being completely separated, sometimes too much. And so the practical lawyer side can be a bit more analytical and like, well, at this point, the goal is survival. So, you know, I think if you can protect your kids, protect your kids. That's where I would fall on that, but we'll see. Speaking of, well, I can't even segue that to Sarah Boone nicely, so I'm just not going to. Gringa said, I understand the job is stressful, but come on, I agree with you. But also, there are lots of first responders who have stressful jobs. It's not unique. Also, you, I think, owe yourself and the public a duty that if the job has become too much, it's time to go. And that's a hard thing to say, but if you can't navigate the stresses of your work, it's time to go. There's a lot of ways to make money, but you're going to end up hurting yourself or someone else. So it just is. Laura, thank you. Earlier in the chat, we had some tech difficulties. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see you. Jennifer from PDOT said, happy stream day, Taco Tuesday. Maybe it's time for tacos for dinner. I have to pack today. Y'all know how my travel anxiety is not great. Not made better currently. So packing is going to be interesting. Tracy said, got my DOCKET and I'm obsessed. The dust bag was a fun surprise. Isn't it great? It's kind of like 2 bags in one. I love the DOCKET so much. That's one thing I'm really excited to pack with. Need the original purple Lawnard hoodie in the shop. We have some more merch coming next month and we always take requests, but we can't turn around quite that fast. There is going to be a similar hoodie, but not in purple, coming in the, oh, fuck, it's November this month, later this month. Shit. I think in song lyrics, Jen, same. Need this distraction today. Recovering from hearing implant surgery yesterday. Recover well. I will try to keep the noises at a dull roar. Stacey H said Proctor's phone is the gift that keeps on giving. I mean, the lawyers are living their best life. Living their best life. Dawn said, finally caught my first live stream. Love you. Thank you, Dawn. It's good to see you. Active Crafty Nerve. My EDB Air merch arrived yesterday. Love it. Isn't it great? Katie said, question, can they search Goode's personal cell phone? We will see what the IA investigation does. I don't know if we will know that. We'll just have to wait and see. Laura said, we just can't get enough of Canton, can we? I would love to move on. Truly love to move on. We have other cases that I'm interested in. But shit doesn't stop happening. It's not like we're rehashing old shit. This is new shit. Continuously new shit. I mean, it's not like the media being like, oh my God, Justin Baldone's lawsuit was dismissed. Yeah, he said he wasn't going to refile it like 2.5 months ago. We knew that. He said that, like, and not new. Celestial Faye Sterling said, do you think this will lead to real justice for John O'Keefe? I hope so. I hope it leads to answers, even if the answers are uncomfortable. John seems like he was trying to do the right thing in really difficult circumstances. Oh, and then Brennan put all their family shit on blast. Talk about things that made me mad. But if it unearths and changes the culture, I hope that his legacy is a better and more trustworthy police force that the citizens of Massachusetts feel like represent them well. So, yeah, I do. Or I hope. So, let us continue. Jessica said Canton is the new Murdaugh. Speaking of Murdaugh, I am so ready to find out more about what's going on with Courthouse Becky, and it's been freaking radio silent. Nishay, recover well. Nishay said, yay for distraction. I'm recovering from surgery today. Recover well. Recover well. Marilyn said, my son plays lead trumpet in Alabama's $1 million band. Trumpets are the best. A, congratulations. B, they are an incredibly fun band to watch. And C, there are a number of kiddos that my son goes to school with that are hoping to be marching for Alabama. I know. Most of them are like UTK all the way, but there are some who are just like, yeah, it's time to roll Tide. So we're not going to talk too much about colleges now, or I'm going to start to cry. It's just all the senior year things are happening. It's too much. Carla said, end of year accounts done. Thanks for doubling. Carla, you're welcome. I was doing that with Real Housewives when I was trying to catch up, doing like state by state sales taxes and stuff. I needed it. All right. The body doubling is always helpful. Let's move on to Sarah Boone, shall we? Because if you don't know the Sarah Boone case, put a 1 in the chat. And if you do remember the Sarah Boone case, well, welcome. Here we go again. Also, Sarah Boone is one of the cases that we have a mega comp for. When we put together a 1 video that is an entire trial, we take out the breaks. We also moderate the sound so that any sound effects or Emily screaming in whatever reason I'm screaming is all leveled at the same level, so that if you happen to fall asleep while watching a mega comp, me doing this is not going to wake you up out of your sleep. So we are working on putting together more mega comps. A lot of you had said that because multiple people in your household use your YouTube account, it's much easier to keep track of where you were when it's just 1 video than trying to remember like what day of a trial you were on. So that is what we always hope to accomplish with the mega comp. So the Sarah Boone mega comp is on the channel. For those of you that aren't familiar with Sarah Boone, she was convicted for the 2nd-degree murder of her boyfriend, Jorge Torres, because she zipped him into a suitcase and left him there, despite him saying that he couldn't breathe, that he needed to be let out. And Sarah videoed it while seemingly incredibly intoxicated, taunting him. And then she went upstairs and went to bed. And then the next morning was shocked when he was deceased in the suitcase. It is an incredibly sad case. Sarah also believes that she did nothing wrong, that it was not intentional, and is stunned that her sentence for that was life, period, in Florida. Life for that 2nd-degree murder. She was offered a plea deal of about 15 years. She didn't take that and was sentenced to life. So Sarah Boone, at sentencing of her trial, edited her sentencing statement, and it was still wild. And then after she was sentenced to life, sent the judge the unredacted version of her sentencing statement with basically I held back, fuck all y'all. And literally just fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, all the way down. Every one of her lawyers, the judge, all of the things. And she thinks that she is the smartest person in the room, that everyone else is wrong, and that she didn't mean to kill him. So how in the world can she be doing life? Oh, and the media. It's the media's fault because her jury was tainted because it was the media's fault. And she ran a battered spouse defense or a battered person's defense. And that did not go well because it opened a door to a lot of really uncomfortable body cam footage of her abuse against the victim. Not to say that she wasn't also abused by the victim, but it does not seem that she was in the middle of defending herself at the time that this happened. Because on that video, to me, it reads as, well, revenge. Because what Sarah Boone kept saying in that video that is horrific to watch is, for everything you've done to me. And laughing at him. For everything you've done to me. For everything you've done to me. When she gave law enforcement her phone, I don't think she remembered. I don't think she remembered that that video was on there. So, Tree Dad said in the chat, FYI, all the cops in the Boone case had body-worn cameras, and thank God for it, because you really could see how she was trying to manipulate the system in calling law enforcement on him. You could watch it happen. So, wild stuff. So, Because it is a murder conviction and because she has been sentenced to life, you would expect the next step, an appeal. And that's the problem. Since Sarah Boone's conviction, she has been pending appeal. Her attorney who parachuted into the case filed notice of appeal and parachuted right out of the case, just like right out. She has been appointed now numerous, I've lost count actually, numerous appointed appellate attorneys. And every single one has yeeted themselves out of the case. One person's like, I'm not even practicing appellate law anymore. Let me out. Another person they appointed, and that person's like, hey, thanks for appointing me as the defense attorney in this case, but I have accepted a job as a state attorney. So like a Florida state prosecutor. So I can't be her appellate attorney because I took a job as a state prosecutor at the state's attorney's office. So that's where we were last time. We were at that attorney saying, hey, Your Honor, I was supposed to be taken off of the appointment list because I am now a prosecutor. Bye. That's where we left this. The appellate court was saying TikTok, and the attorney had notified the court that they needed to withdraw after being appointed because they literally could not be the attorney. A lot of you are asking for your miles and snackies. Fair enough. It's time to go to Florida. And not even Tallahassee. I know. Donna would be so jealous. Don't worry. I'm sure we will have more to talk about with Donna in a week or two. They've got to be getting close to filing their new trials and appeals and all the rest of it. But for today, because I saw our moderators chatting about this yesterday, I was like, ooh. It's been a minute since we've talked about Sarah Boone, but also I wanted to talk about it because I'm curious about what you think. Is she wrong for this? I mean, for the murder, obviously that's where we're at. But I have some empathy here and I see where she's coming from. So let's pull up the court's last order. This is from the trial court. So the last order from Judge K at the trial court that we are looking at is from September 12th, 2025. Let's see. Order on counsel's motion to withdraw, filed November 12th, 2025 at 12:34 p.m. This cause having been reviewed by the court and upon the motion of Rodrigo, I think it's Curacao, appointed counsel to withdraw from further representation above the named defendant. Literally, this was like a day after he was appointed. He got appointed and he was like, whoa, time out. I'm changing jobs literally like tomorrow. Ordered and adjudged that Rodrigo is allowed to withdraw from further representation of defendant Sarah Boone. And David Maldonado, you're next on The Price is Right. David Maldonado, ESQ, bar number 8675309, I'm joking, is hereby appointed to represent the defendant in this cause. Winner, winner. Attorney Maldonado's contact information is as follows. That's their work information. It's further ordered that Rodrigo forward all discovery materials received in this matter to the new attorney. I don't even know if Rodrigo would have had time to get the discovery because he was appointed for like 24 hours. So that was September 12th. Remember, there's a court of appeals still waiting for an appellate brief. Notice of appeal has been filed. And the court of appeals is like, excuse me, everybody. Do we have an appellate brief? What are we doing? So the court of appeals said nope, this is the wrong order. Where's my other order? Did I put the wrong link on the order? Yes, I think I did. There it is. That should be the right one. It was too many court filings. What did the Court of Appeals say? This is from September 16th. September 16th, 2025. In the District Court of Appeal for the State of Florida 6th District. By order of the court, appellant's second motion for extension of time to file her initial brief, docketed August 29th, is granted. The initial brief shall be served within 60 days from the date of this order. No further extensions will be granted absent extenuating circumstances. Withdrawing counsel shall act diligently to secure successor counsel. That was like 2 withdrawing counsels ago. This was the dude before Rodrigo. The date of this order is September 16th. Their initial brief is due in like 10 days. November like 15th. Next week. There have been no other filings from appointed counsel. The new guy hasn't said anything at all. And this is where we're at in the appellate court. I think they will have extenuating circumstances. I am honestly a bit concerned that no one's going to file and tell the appellate court that there are extenuating circumstances. Where is the new attorney? Well, that's the question that Sarah's asking for. Where is my new appellate attorney? So Sarah wrote to the court on October 27th. This was docketed on October 30th. Thank you to the moderators who pointed out that this was going on, because I was like, you, A, really, B, well, we got to talk about it. C, what now? So from Sarah Boone on October 30th, or docketed October 30th, in the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit, this is a continuing problem in this case, is that there is no 9th. She is in the 6th Circuit, and Owen filed it with wrong headers. So she is going off of what Owens said. And it is in the 6th Circuit. But either way, for all of you saying Sarah has nice handwriting, she does. She has very easy to read handwriting. I appreciate it. She also has all the time in the world, though. State of Florida versus Sarah Boone, notice of inquiry. And look, she's got the header down. She's learned quite a lot in the time that she has been going through this and in her brief time representing herself. Comes now, appellant Sarah Boone, and files her notice of inquiry with both the 6th District Court of Appeal and Orange County Clerk of Court, stating the following. 1. After appellant's first court-appointed appellate attorney, Alan Holland, December 2nd, 2024 to February 18th, 2025, was granted his motion to withdraw, Joshua E. Adams was appointed by the court to represent her and submit the initial brief in and for her criminal appeal. Since December 2nd, 2024, during Mr. Adams' time of 7 months, and she did put the number 7 in paren. Allison asked, why is this not typed? She doesn't always have access, I would imagine, to being able to type it. So she is filing this for herself. During Mr. Adams' time frame of 7 months, February 18th, 2025 to September 5th, 2025, in his representation of Ms. Boone, which includes filing 2 extensions to continue doing so, he made the decision to withdraw without submitting her initial brief, citing he is no longer practicing appellate work or accepting court-appointed appellate cases. I think at that point, the court should have said, no, you have to file the initial brief. You've had this for 7 months. File the brief. I was surprised that the judge didn't deny this motion to withdraw from Mr. Adams. I was surprised by that. File the brief. But the court allowed the withdrawal. He had filed 2 extensions. And then he said, I'm no longer practicing. She goes on to say, 3, Joshua E. Adams corresponded with appellant in one public access tablet message on February 27, 2025, briefly introducing himself with no follow-up or continued contact to present date. Well, he's no longer your lawyer. And remember, in her last letter about this, she said that her friends were calling his office all the time and he was not answering them either. 4, as of the date of this filing, appellant has no understanding of whom her present appellate attorney is, the current status of her appeal, nor the preparation of her initial brief as a result of no communication or inclusion from any party, including both the 6th District Court of Appeal and or the Orange County Clerk of Court. I understand that she's frustrated. I would be frustrated. Like, really frustrated. Raina in the chat said, I wonder if he was ill or something. We talked about that at the time. It would have been either in his filing or filed in an affidavit under seal. It was not. She can also check these dockets. She knows her case numbers. She can check the dockets. There's just no filings at all. There are no filings other than this filing. They appointed new counsel a month ago, and there's nothing. So it's kind of wild that she has had no contact from anyone saying, this is what we're doing with your appeal. Her appeal is still technically due next week. And no attorney has filed saying, I'm the new attorney. I need an extension of time to review the record. It's going to take time to review the records. It sucks. I agree with you, Chad. I think that her attorney should contact her and say, this is what's happening. She has appointed attorneys. She can't go to their office and be like, what are you doing? And she can access the court filings, and the attorney's contact information is in there. So there's room for her to contact that attorney and ask, but that attorney's filed nothing. And so I actually understand her frustration here, because she's like, hey, where is the appeal on my murder case? I have been sentenced to life without parole. What are we doing? And again, no matter how difficult she might be, at what point is this too much? It's almost been a year with no brief being filed. At what point is the court going to say, hey, sorry, I had fuzz. At what point is the court going to say, hey, nobody else can withdraw? The court can deny the attorney's request to withdraw. Also, on the appellate work, they don't have to interact with her all that much. It's all based on the record. She has a right to appeal. And she has definitely changed her tone in the letters. I think this is a reasonable request from her. And she has definitely changed her tactic with the court. This is very much a, hey, what's going on? Can somebody please tell me what the fuck is happening with my case? I will say, if a deadline is missed because of the attorneys, the appellate court is not going to forestall her from ever appealing. It would violate her rights. The appellate court's not going to be happy about it, but they are going to let her appeal. But it's really frustrating to see. No matter how difficult she is, she has a right to an appeal. She has a right to an appointed attorney. And it seems that everyone who is being handed her case is just dropping the ball. And it's, at the beginning, it was like, dude, you're 7 months in, and now it's like, I no longer do appellate work. I think the judge should have denied it. I wonder if he thinks the same thing. So it's a frustrating thing, but she has access to the docket, and that last docket had the attorney's Let me take a look. A few of you said to hide her address. This is all public. Sarah, this stuff about her correctional facility is all public and easily found publicly on publicly accessible websites. The other one is the attorney's public-facing office and email that are on their website. So David Maldonado, if she pulled this docketed item, which is free and she has her case number, she can pull it because she should have access to that. She has his bar number, his P.O. box, his phone number, and his email. But that person has not filed any notice of appearing on the case. So I understand. In most cases, I'm like, Sarah, what are you doing? In this case, she respectfully asked the court, hey, what's going on? I think this is fair. I think this is a fair request. And I think she has the right to an attorney. I don't think she has a great chance at appeal, but she has the right to make an appeal. So, I'm sure Donna Adelson will have her, I wonder if she'll have her private attorneys. Or is Donna going to deal with this too, trying to find an attorney to take her appeal? Because there are appellate lawyers that are on a list to be appointed and paid to do this work. And all of them are just like, nope. This is a reasonable request. I think this will be met more positively by the court than Sarah Boone's other requests. These are reasonable requests, and I'm really frustrated for her if this is true, that she has heard nothing from the newly appointed attorney. The newly appointed attorney hasn't filed anything. Lindsay asked, can they grant her an extension? Only if somebody asks for it. Nobody's asked for an attorney yet. So, Ohio Pom Mom, I would be curious if at this stage, with the money that the Adelsons have paid for Charlie's case and for their own, whether or not she would qualify for court-appointed appellate representation. She might. Tony Power says, my money is on an OSC if the deadline gets missed. Yeah. In order to show cause why. And I imagine the new attorney will be like, what? But the past attorney had to give them notice. What is happening? And how is this all just not getting noticed? So I understand Sarah Boone's frustration. And I think, she is definitely going to be on top of it. She is not just going to sit there and be like, I'm sure they're doing something. She's not going to just trust that it's happening. So Shannon asked, can appellants be pro se? They can. But she never wanted to be pro se. And she has the right to a court-appointed attorney. Appellate work is really specific. And a lot of attorneys don't do it. And even more don't do it well. So, in this, I don't think Sarah's wrong, honestly. Now, could she be downplaying the contact with her previous attorney? Maybe. But I wouldn't be surprised, based on the fact that the new attorney hasn't even filed a notice of appearance for the record, if they haven't contacted her. And as of yesterday, there were no additional filings on the docket. I never regret it when I go look at things in real time. Should we just go? I'm going to go peek at the docket one more time. Let's see if anything else just sneakily popped up. I mean, it's almost 3:00 in Florida. Why not? Why not just look? I cannot get rid of the fuzz that is stuck to my lip. It's just, Emily, you're going to have to just deal with it. I can't. Sensory. I can't. It's making me crazy. It's why I don't leave my hair down very often, because sensory. I just cannot. And I know many of you understand that. It's why most of the time I just record in a hat, because I literally can't. Let's see. No. Sarah Boone. Let's see. Oh, a CAPTCHA. Okay, CAPTCHA. Did I almost start typing my own name? Yes, I did. It's fantastic. That's not going to happen. All right, let's see. Anything new on the docket today? Yes, there is. Okay. We have a new filing on the docket. It's quick, but we do have a new filing. Look at us. Look at us. Let's go take a look. Let me pull this up and see what's happening in Florida. Thankfully, the docket in Florida is so easy to use. It is one of the best. There are some that are real difficult. This one's great. You guys, we have new information. And it's from the court. Okay, Judge K. Okay, Judge K. I don't even think I have my new following bumper in our new software because we never used it. Because Emily's like, nah, we're not covering new filings. We'll just swoop. Let's see what Judge K has to say. This is from today at 1:30 p.m. In the Circuit Court of the 9th Judicial Circuit. Okay, maybe it is the 9th Judicial Circuit that's covering. I don't understand how this is the 9th Judicial Circuit, but it's the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. I don't understand. It's probably a Florida thing, and I am not meant to understand. And Sarah's just copying what the court says, and I trust what Judge K says. Amended order appointing counsel. The court, upon review of the court file in the instant cause, hereby finds as follows. 1. The court appointed David Maldonado, JD, not ESQ, to represent the defendant appellant Sarah Boone in this cause for purposes of her appeal on September 12th, 2025. A certified conflict arose that would have prevented the regional counsel's office from representing the appellant pursuant to section 27.40 of the Florida statutes. As a result of the conflict, it was necessary to appoint private counsel for the appellant Sarah Boone. Wherefore, it is ordered as follows. The court's prior order appointing counsel dated September 12th, 2025 is amended to reflect, and that's not on the docket. I wonder when the court was notified of that, is amended to reflect a certified conflict arose that would have prevented the regional counsel's office from representing the appellant in this cause, therefore necessitating the appointment of David Maldonado, JD, as counsel for the appellant. This court reserves jurisdiction for the entirety of such future orders as may be necessary. Done and ordered. Oh, interesting. There was an issue, it seems, with the way that the court ordered it, because the regional counsel's office is who you would generally appoint to represent the appellant. That entire office is like, we can't appoint someone for our office, but I bet the court had to make findings before funds would be released for private counsel to take the case. This is a funding issue. So that David Maldonado is like, hey, and this is speculation, you appointed me, but I can't take the appointment if they're not going to release funds, and they're not going to release funds unless you find a conflict. So it seems like a month went by where it was like, excuse me, is this thing on? We need a proper appointment. So I think this just boils down to red tape, because private counsel needs to be appointed, but private counsel needs to be paid by the state or the county, and they're not going to be paid unless there's an appropriate order. So this is an amended order so that private counsel can be paid to represent Sarah Boone. So it's not the lawyer's fault. It's not Sarah Boone's fault. If anybody, really, it's the court for not writing an order that said that there was a conflict. And I wonder if and why Maldonado didn't just bring it to the court's attention sooner. When did Maldonado bring this to the court's attention, saying, hey, I can't get appointed until you say all the like magic words so I can get paid. Magic words. You need to find the conflict before the state will pay me. Otherwise, the state wants you to appoint somebody from the regional counsel's office. And the court's like, oh my God, just make it happen. So, red tape. However, Sarah's letter was docketed on October 30th. November 4th, this got handled. I wonder what would have happened if she hadn't written it in. So I wonder if tomorrow we will see Maldonado filing an appearance saying, hey, now that they will pay me, I can take the case. And then I imagine they will immediately be filing a notice of motion for extension to the Court of Appeal, and they are going to have to line out the extraordinary circumstance. So I wonder if we will see from that attorney a recitation of the red tape that held up them getting appointed until the court made an order that the Regional Counsel Center could not appoint an attorney, and it had to be private counsel, and funds had to be shifted to private counsel because there's an order of attorneys you're going to appoint. And I imagine that that's what their filing is going to say. I was appointed this day, and then I went through all these processes, and until the court made this order, I could not officially be appointed and have funds approved. And funds have to be approved. You cannot stop working until funds are approved. And then the court is going to say, yeah, that's kind of out of your control. So here's more time. So we're not going to see an appellate filing for Sarah Boone until the middle of next year. They might say 60 days. I imagine the new attorney is going to ask for more to review the record. The last attorney had almost 7 months to review the record and was like, I need more time to review the record. And there's a lot of record with all the letters Sarah Boone wrote. He's got to read all of the letters Sarah Boone wrote. And it's not just reading the trial transcript. It's going back and reading the transcript of every court hearing that predated it, because some of the court orders that they might appeal happened before trial. And they are going to appeal partly on the ground that Sarah Boone for a period was forced to represent herself. And that when Owen asked for more time, he was denied more time. So those are going to be grounds for her appeal. So the entire record has to be reviewed, including all of her records. That is going to take time. So I imagine we're not going to see an appeal filed in this case until March, maybe 2026. So, well, maybe now Sarah Boone will have her attorney, but she wrote a respectful inquiry and it got handled pretty quickly. So somehow this fell through the cracks. And Sarah Boone has to be like, why is it always me? Why is it always me? Why is it always me? And some of you have asked what the conflict is. It doesn't say, but the conflict could be something that happened between Sarah Boone and one of the previously appointed attorneys. The conflict could be that they represented Jorge Torres on appeal and they can't represent her. You never know what the conflict is, but private counsel needs to be appointed. And that's what's happening. So I agree, Spark Force. I don't think she has a strong ground for appeal. If anything happened on the appeal, the most likely result is, okay, fair, but there was no harm based on the weight of the evidence. The second result would be, okay, fair, you can have a new trial. But no, she wouldn't be out during any of that. She has been in custody since she was arrested. Arca's Chicken Gun said, could Sarah be difficult to work with? I'm sure. I'm sure that Sarah is difficult to work with. I am sure. But for the appellate work, they don't need to have a lot of interaction with her. She's going to want them to have more interaction with her. I imagine that they will keep their interaction to writing and be like, hey, I am reviewing the record. It is going to take me this long to review the record. During that time, I am reviewing the record. Then I'm going to work on your brief. I will let you know when the brief is filed. That's really it. Because there's no input Sarah can give. It has to be on the record. She's going to want to give input. Absolutely going to want to give input. But it's not needed. So, they just need to keep her in the loop. And then if she spirals out on them, she does. She probably will. But it's a reasonable request. So at the end of the day, Sarah Boone wrote to the court saying, hey, what the heck is happening with my lawyers? And the court responded with an order. What? The court responded with an order saying, yeah, let me modify my order so that private counsel can be appointed private counsel is appointed. And next, we're going to see private counsel filing with the Court of Appeals asking for an extension, and it's going to be granted. And then we might see a brief on appeal filed March 2026. I mean, the Court of Appeal might say you have 60 days, and this lawyer is going to be like, I just got here. And it is X thousands of pages I need to read and review. We'll see. So Sarah Boone actually was effective in advocating for herself. Okay. It was a respectful request, and it was taken care of. Good to see. Hopefully the attorneys file her appeal. Those are her rights. But when it comes to speedy appeal, there's not really much that they can do there. It's going to take the time it takes. I guess we'll see. All right, y'all. It's time to do some Q&A, and then it's time for me to go pack. So, Sarah's going to be real happy with that win. I think so too, chat. I think she's going to be real happy with that win in court. Hopefully, she sees the tampering down her language and accusations actually gets her a bit further. So let's go to questions, shall we? Stephanie in the chat asked EDB, are you streaming Wednesday and Thursday? I am not. I am traveling. I have a very quick turnaround, and then my kiddo has kiddo stuff. So I am traveling. So no, I'm not streaming Wednesday and Thursday. We will have case briefs out, and then I think the podcast might actually be late this week based on when I will have time to record it. But do not worry. We will have a podcast for you Monday or Tuesday, and we will have streams for you next week before I leave again. I've got 2 weeks of quite a lot of travel, so I will miss you, law nerds, but I will try to keep you posted behind the scenes of stuff that I'm doing. I've got some work stuff to do. I'm going to go and get my Erlin glasses updated because we have a change of prescription. Law nerds. I repurchased the previous frames I had for streaming, my computer glasses, because we need multiple different prescriptions at different distances. So the previous frames will be back. You've let me know that you missed them. I missed them too. But the previous frames will be back. I'm very excited. And I will keep you up to date on everything that's going on at BravoCon. For those of you that are like, Emily, BravoCon, I'll let you know when I'm traveling to BravoCon. And for those of you that are like, I don't want to hear about BravoCon, you can just check back in. You can just check back in after BravoCon. For those of you that want the tea, are the Osefos going to be at BravoCon? I mean, Shannon Bedore was there right after her arrest for DUI. She didn't look happy at all. I ended up watching Luann and Sonia fight over who got to flirt with Captain Jason. Like in real life, it was like watching, well, Emily, this is going to be one of the dumbest things you've ever said. Of course, it's kind of like watching them on television. It's just the exact same thing, but you're just there in the same space without a screen. It's just like, oh, this is exactly the way it happens. So I'm excited. I'm curious about who will be there. I know a number of content creators that are going. I know a number of content creators that are choosing not to go. So we'll see what's happening. But my biggest question, will the Osefos be at BravoCon? Like no, right? But also like, if it's in your contract and you're innocent until proven guilty, like, do you go to BravoCon and then say, I can't answer any questions about that because pending case? I mean, Jen Shaw was at, she wasn't invited to BravoCon, but she crashed BravoCon in New York before she pled guilty in her case and was like crashing into everybody's hotel rooms, sitting down being like, can I get your glam? That's what I was told. I did not witness that myself. I heard that multiple times. The I saw Sheila say, I hope security there is better than TwitchCon. The security at BravoCon has always been significant. So it has always been pretty significant. So we will see. I will give you the updates as we go on social media. If you follow me on Instagram, I will keep you up to date there. I will be doing some behind the scenes stuff for our members in the Law Nerd Lounge. And you know that Emily gets just distracted by off and awaying, but these are the stories that we share during our members only live streams, and we will probably have 2 this month. So, will there be a DashCon ball pit at BravoCon? No. Nope. None of the Bravo Labs are dropping into a ball pit, especially in the fact that they are wearing the biggest heels you've ever seen. The work schedules of the Bravo Labs at BravoCon are absolutely insane to me. They are like in full glam very early on in the day, and their schedules are so incredibly full. It's wild long days. I don't know how they do it. I wish I knew. I don't know how they do it. So we'll see. We'll see. Sarah B, I'll keep you in the loop. BravoCon is an expensive endeavor. It really is. And honestly, like, I'm pretty sure that Peacock probably has like a 30-day free. I would wait until they start releasing the BravoCon stuff on Peacock, because they release all of the panels. They release all of the awards shows. They release basically everything on Peacock. And sometimes it's easier to see on Peacock than it is on when you're there in person, because the cameras take priority than the people. So I'm torn. I enjoy being there. I like seeing the behind the scenes. I enjoy seeing friends. If I did not enjoy covering it and also making content and also keeping y'all in the loop, is that a choice I would make? It would be hard to justify the money when most of it you can just watch. Getting seats for panels is difficult. Sometimes hearing at panels is difficult. It's fun seeing the Bravo Labs in person. I have never been a wait 4 hours in line to take a picture with somebody, because the pictures somebody else takes look awful of me. So that's never a me thing. So I like to see what people say, but it becomes such an integral part of all the seasons with, like, you said this at BravoCon and you said that at BravoCon, but all of it ends up being on Peacock anyway. So if I had a discount for y'all, I would give it to you. I should try that. Hunk Banana knows that Peacock just gave me a deal for no commercials for $40 for the entire year. Dude, run to that deal. I very much hope that Kevin and Jake from State Farm will be there. I very much hope. So Vanilla Bean said, I don't have Peacock, but have thought about getting it just so I know what EDB is always talking about. It's fair. I will, I imagine that security this year is going to be an entirely different thing. I imagine that there will be more distance between the audience and the Bravo Labs. I wonder if some of the interactions will be different. So we're just going to see. I will keep you posted on what I think. I know from sources that Bravo had a 3-year contract with this venue. So this will be their 2nd year at this venue. 3rd year at this venue. I think this is their 2nd year at this venue. So there will at least be one more. But I'm interested. Raquel H said, Bravo, fucking Bravo. I know I need to finish catching up on Salt Lake and Orange County before I go. I'm interested to see if Denise Richards is there. I think that she will be. I'm interested to see the interactions with everyone. It's an interesting event. The people watching is 10 out of 10, but also, is it budget worthy if you are not also doing work things for the people watching? I don't know. Kimberly G said, I just canceled Peacock. It was going to be renew at $110 a year. I wonder if they'll send you one of these sneaky, like, hey, we'd love to have you back discounts. We'll see. So BravoCon. That's not this week. This week I am going to be in and around doing YouTube things and work things. And then I will share what I can. Because I can't remember if we signed agreements about it. But one of the things we're going to be talking about is APIs and making sure that our streaming software can do all of the things that we want it to do. So it's really nerdy work stuff. Let's see. Miss Lady said, do it Black Friday. It's $19.99 for the year. Great plan. And all the Bravo content will be up for Black Friday because it's not up in real time very well. Samantha said Peacock is free with Comcast Xfinity. I know a lot of our international audience is like, wait, what? I know. If you are a cable subscriber, they are giving it for free. Yeah, I don't think Peacock streaming services are doing great. So Riley said, oh my God, that's why my Vegas hotel was so expensive that weekend. I don't even follow Bravo or know about it, but that makes much more sense. Yeah, next weekend. And there will be, Vegas always has so much going on. There will probably also be like a concert at the Sphere and a bunch of other things. But yes, BravoCon brings in a lot of people. Helena, this is a great tip. Peacock is free with premium Instacart subscription. Amazing. I would also check your credit cards and see if any of your credit cards have a Peacock subscription worked in. I would go find it. I wouldn't just sign up for it. I would go find it because there are plenty of options to get it for free. And then I would wait until BravoCon is done when you can watch all of the content if you just want to binge watch Bravo content. I love the traders. So I love the traders. Kayla in the chat said, FYI, if anyone has the annual Walmart Plus membership, you get your choice of Peacock or Paramount Plus for free. Law Nerds, you guys are so good. The Looking Out is fantastic. Not sponsored, but also, if I can get you all a discount on Peacock, I would. But y'all have found ways. Look, finding the bundled little options are fantastic. And some credit cards do have right now a free Walmart Plus for a year. So it depends on what card you have. Law Nerds, congratulations. Michelle said almost 3 years. That's fantastic. We have some updates to our member stuff coming soon. I'm very excited. It is so hard for me to not just spill all of the beans. All of the beans. Blue Eyes Fairy said a pause for Mr. Owens, who somehow managed to run a better case and control his client better than Donna's lawyers. I think one of the things that we saw with Mr. Owens is he was able to tell Sarah, I'm on your side. I'm choosing to do this because I'm on your side. You deserve to have representation. And they seemed to, even though they disagreed, it seemed to me that Sarah felt at least heard by her attorney, which can be difficult depending on the personality you're dealing with, to tell someone no and still have them feel like you've heard them. You just disagree with them without them taking it as a personal attack. I think he did a pretty good job of client control and saying, I'm here for you. Someone needs to be here for you. I'm choosing to be here for you. Work with me. Help me help you. Help me help you. And I think he did the best he could with what he had. So, it was literally, I'm trying my best, Your Honor. I'm trying my best. And he did. So thank you for the wishes for safe travels. I will be trying to keep you guys updated. If stuff pops off, because it always does when I travel, I will update it in the Law Nerd app. Like I did with when Proctor withdrew his appeal. I will send out a notification in the Law Nerd app if stuff pops off while I'm traveling, because I'm not going to have the ability to sit down and stream. Kiki said, I'm in negotiations for buying a house, and this chat keeps me grounded. Love you all. And EDB and the Baker family, thank you so much. The Real Melon Lord said, hey friends, good luck with everything. Joke of the day, quote, why was the math book sad? It has too many problems. I should have pulled this up before. Wait, where did it go? I have it somewhere. It loses its emphasis when we have to wait. Great joke. Love the joke of the day. Thank you. I'm a comedian. Me and Heather Dubrow, we're funny people. I did get to drink champagne with Heather Dubrow on a rooftop in New York during a BravoCon. It was a 10 out of 10 moment. It was a 10 out of 10 moment. I don't know if Heather Dubrow is a law nerd. I don't think she has time for live streaming. But also, what's funny to me at BravoCon is the people who do know who I am want to know the tea about their their co-stars, legal things. It's a lot of, hey, what do you know about this? Erica, I'm sorry for rude clients. It has become that time of year where people are stressed. I was stressed yesterday. I had to go to the mall. I don't do this. First of all, malls are too much sensory and they give me headaches. Second of all, I needed to go pick up the glasses that I need to have my prescription put in. So it's a whole thing. Had to go to the mall. Christmas decorations. Christmas music. Everywhere. I was like, I have to leave. I have to go now. Catherine said, thank you for bringing the fuckery for my birthday. I mean, I'm here for you. Kyle said, regarding the AVL, I also ran SQL queries to correlate AVL mileage with odometers. Again, IA was my best customer. Kyle, that's very cool. And that makes sense because you want to make sure that it's on. I worry that this is all them using this as a feature. It's stressful to watch. HD, this is such a kind super chat. Thank you. HD says, EDB, my hubby's nephew's school band made it to state championship finals today. He plays the trumpet, small school, small town, less than 500, less than 5,000 in the population, and they made it to state finals. Let's go, Lockney. Hashtag band nerd. Congratulations. Have the best band nerd weekend. It's really a fun thing to experience. I got to see lots of fun shows from bands of all different sizes. It's really a delight. I enjoy marching band quite a lot. The university we were at, their band did a exhibition performance. I love a college marching band. I loved being in band. It's fun. Look, drum lines make people happy. Happy people just, I don't know, are easier to be around. Happy people just don't shoot their husbands. But Emily, we can't joke about this on this channel. Also, people have chosen a lot of other options. Daisy Loves Derek says, I will be marching in Phantom Regiment Alumni Corps next summer. So excited. Daisy, that's amazing. I'm sure that at one of the shows I'm at, we will see the Phantom Regiment Alumni Corps. Also, Daisy, if you are still on chat, and if not, put it in the comments. If you were going to give last year's Phantom show a name, what would it be? What would it be? Because my thought was Beyond the Veil. Let me know what you think. Anyone who knows what I'm talking about, it's great. If you don't worry. It's almost DCI season, everybody. Emily, it's Winter Guard season. I know, it's almost DCI season. Steven said, Will Smith over here need to read the room talking about keep my name out of your mouth. You said what you said, and it was some bull shit. It was. And it really is. What I need is y'all not to ask me that question again. I'm like, damn, what do you mean? What do you need? I'm not worried about what you need. You're a public officer. What do you mean what you need? What I need is y'all to stop asking me. Okay, well, what I need, let's talk about my needs. No, Emily, no. The list is too long. More sleep, better diet. We'll start there. Hydration. What I need is some transparency. Did you have a meeting or not? Is it Dever or Deaver? I'm teasing. I know which it is. Though I do pronounce Stoughton all the time when I talk about it. And the law nerds are like, Emily. I'm like, I know. It's the way it's pronounced. Or it's the way it's written. I look at the word and knowing the pronunciation just falls out of my mouth. But when you are the top position at a massive police force, liaising with the public is important. Public trust is important. And what I need is for all to stop asking me these pesky questions. Feels like the end of a Scooby-Doo episode where like I would have gotten away for it too if it wasn't for you and these meddling kids. Can we not have real life law enforcement feel like a Scooby-Doo episode, please? I'd love that. Jolene said, y'all be able to commiserate with Rick Beato. Yes. And Adam Reeder, Professor of Rock. Their channels always get flagged because of music. I know Rick, Bateo. I always say it wrong. Rick gets, isn't he in a fight with UMG? We need to talk about UMG too. It's been on my list. It's just been on my list. Music to My Soul said, 1, do you know if Cox is eligible to be put on the Brady list as a commissioner? I haven't looked it up in Massachusetts, but Jackson says he qualifies. I can see what he's citing. It would make sense, but I would need to do a deeper dive. If he is added, does that mean Boston prosecutors would have to include that in discovery for every single case? Not necessarily every single case, but it opens the door for asking if you had any conversation or communication with the commissioner, which is going to be a minimal amount of cases. I think the letter being public probably does more harm because everybody knows and everybody's talking about it. Catherine said, is Alan Jackson a prosecutor? Not any longer. He was a prosecutor in LA. He's now a defense attorney. So no. Allie said, can they not be held accountable if they retire? There are ways that they can be held accountable, but it is a bit different because you would have to pursue it not through their department and not through IA. It would have to go through other channels. So it's faster when the department is like, oh, okay, you're on leave. We need to do an investigation. If they are retired, somebody would have to bring a civil suit. So the text we know about from Proctor telling the chat that he hadn't found any photos of Karen and the description given in those documents have me worried for victims and very angry. 100%. 100%. What would happen to Karen if she were found guilty? Well, there would be a lot of grounds for appeal on everything that keeps coming out. I don't know what she would have been found guilty on. She would have been sentenced and they would keep fighting. But I think what is in motion here is going to stay in motion. Because I don't see how they get around that at this point. I really don't. So, Law Nerds with all of that. Thank you everyone for the gifted memberships. To all the new members, welcome. We are going to have members only content this month and a special, special Black Friday members only live like we do. It's become a tradition. So Dr. B is already asking me about it. And of course, we will have that live stream. We will probably have one other. When it will be, I just don't know, but we are going to see you very soon. Law Nerds, I will keep you posted this week in the Law Nerd app. Also, if you did not watch the podcast this week, it is on the Emily Show channel. If you've not subscribed to that channel, subscribe. If you just want notifications from the app, every time we post on that channel, we notify you in the app. And every time we go live on this channel, I notify you in the app. And if stuff pops off, I will also send a notification in the app and let you know what's happening, even if I'm not going live immediately to cover it. I will see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our mods. Thank you to Team Baker. Safe travels to everyone traveling. It is getting into my least favorite time of year to travel, but we've got stuff to do. And then I am going to stay home, literally cuddle up under a blanket. A little blanket, to be real, if my kids stop stealing them, and just hang out for December. It's that time of year where I'm just like, I just want to be cuddly and warm, and I don't want to have to do anything. Like, don't make me do anything. It's dark at 4 p.m. Just let me be cozy. I want to light a fire and read a book. Leave me alone. It's getting into the cuddly time of year. I am not a highly active person in the winter. Can we hibernate now? So everybody is going to be like, oh, Emily's ready for hibernation season. I'm ready for cuddle. I'm ready for cuddle season. I'm ready for just snuggles on the couch. And now that the Midas Merge Halloween event is over, maybe I can get back to some kind of normal balance where I'm not just wait, just a little bit more. Law Nerds, you're the best. I will see you soon. Take care. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you don't miss a live stream or any of the updates on the cases that you care about most with the Law Nerd app at lawnerdapp.com. It's a free download on iOS and Android so I can keep you in the loop because you never know when something's going to pop off. Thanks for being here and thanks for being a Law Nerd.